Nice little squeak there, for professional effect, of course. A little squeaky little arm stand thing.
You're late.
Hello, chat, and welcome to another Bunchcast. We've got a lot of topics to talk about today, but the first topic I would like to talk about today is single-player games, because we've actually had a couple single-player games come out that are more single-player focused. One, most notably, that you all know is Oblivion. The second would be Tempest Rising, which also released relatively recently as well. But it also has multiplayer stuff. But I found this rather interesting because I saw a massive amount of people kind of arguing, like, being very loud about multiplayer and single-player games. Like, both for Oblivion in regards to adding multiplayer to Oblivion, I saw people arguing about that. And in the case of RTSs, I saw people talking about how RTSs need multiplayer and must have multiplayer. But I don't necessarily believe that that's actually true for an RTS or an RPG to be good, because multiplayer is a nice feature, but it's not necessarily entirely, like, you have to have it. There's a value to having it. And what I find interesting is statistically is that most people consume RTSs that do consume that type of genre, or RPGs, often end up either playing single player or like things like MMORPGs. But the upcoming game that is relevant to this conversation is a game called Dustfront RTS. It is a single-player RTS, and actually had the announcement that it was a single-player RTS. There were some people that were kind of bummed out and wanted it to have multiplayer, but they're going to focus on a massive campaign where there's technically four factions. There's Rebels, Empire, Mutants, and like a weird space faction or whatever, fighting over like a decadent world that's basically buried in the ashes and dust of like this conflict. And I'll stream a little bit of it. It's being developed by a solo dev who's been working on it for about, I think, 6+ years, and it's come quite a ways. And they were doing some talk about the campaign and the features that the campaign will boast. It's going to have a hex grid-based campaign where you can choose where to attack and what territories to take, and then you play out the battles in an RTS mode. And you can choose again from the 3 major factions. There are 4. I think the Rebels are going to be not playable from the sounds of it. But the other 3 factions have super weapons. The Empire has this sort of industrial look that looks really cool. There's got like this floaty, futuristic faction that uses like lasers and stuff. And they've got this really cool eldritch horror, like, monster faction. It's got a very unique style to it.
This game, the setting-wise, looks like a more interesting Forever Winter to me.
Yeah, kind of. It's like an apocalyptic case. Like, the Empire's trying to reclaim things. Basically, like, rebuild itself.
The Empire is Russian, obviously.
It kind of looks like a more
it's a Russian
version
dev.
of Forever Winter.
Well, I don't know if it's a Russian dev, but we'll call it Eastern European dev. But it is getting a lot of progress and coming along, and it looks really good. Has a lot of personality to its units and flair.
I like the art style, specifically like all the borders he puts around the units and the objects.
Yeah, that's the big thing here. The art style, it looks really, really good. And I wanted to highlight this indie RTS because it's an indie RTS and it looks pretty fucking cool. It's got a very unique style, and it didn't go for realism, and I kind of like the visual aesthetic. It's a bit on the cartoonish side, but it looks really good, and I think it'll age really well. Also, Green Branch has gifted a membership. Thank you very much for your generous gifted membership, along with Harlot as well. Very much appreciated, gentlemen. But yeah.
No Fox next, though.
Tempest Rising released, and we also played that as well.
Has waited long enough.
Silence you. Your dynasty's gonna wait again. So the big thing is, Tempest Rising is another RTS that boasted a large single-player campaign for 2 factions. And also has a multiplayer component, though the multiplayer component could use some more work. That could be due to development troubles. Fuzzy, you want to elaborate on who they were working with in the past? Why could they have development troubles, Fuzzy?
Well, this game started under 3D Realms and Slipscut Ironworks, who most of their development has been rumor fooders. And Slipscut Ironworks got placed under Saber Interactive when Embracer Group started going on this buying spree during the COVID era. They took out billions of dollars and gobbled up a bunch of stuff. And Slipscut Ironworks and 3D Realms were not well-known companies to begin with, and Embracer Group is even worse. The only competent businessmen here were Saber Interactive. Now, and when Embracer Group separated with going private, that obviously shook things up even more, on top of switching from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. And this game also suffered a major identity crisis. It had trouble developing its own identity and gameplay style that wasn't just straight up lesser Command and Conquer. It's like the multiplayer was not well balanced. The balance was just awful. Optimization was good, but the balance of the maps, the balance of the factions, getting the economy balance right, it just wasn't there. The only promise was the single player missions, which the few we played were very well executed and had a lot of promise. Now, some of the cutscenes and in between needed some polish, and they did polish some of that. It wasn't a deal breaker, and as we saw at release, the campaign was actually quite good. And the key thing is, and just in my experience over the decades of playing these RTSs, the single player is the hook. There's actually surprisingly few people, especially during the open betas, that actually played the multiplayer beta. More people were interested in the single player.
Yep. Single player, when it comes to RTS, is one of the most popular things, though the multiplayer community is very loud. And the reason why the multiplayer community is very loud is for a good reason. There isn't a lot of good multiplayer RTSs. There's not a lot of variety for them. So that's why they're loud and they're very adamant.
Pickings are slim.
But I really wish the single player community and the PvE community would be louder too, because there are so many things I hope to see this get. Like, yeah, the multiplayer, I hope it gets boosted with a third faction. They should also be considering PvE modes like co-op or wave defense and things like that to help bolster its replay value. Because RTSs are generally single player, but yeah, multiplayer has its value. Go ahead, Fuzzy.
And we have two examples to really illustrate why you can't ignore the single player crowd and the PvE crowd. First of all, this is your largest customer base. You want money. And Tempest Rising, considering the Saber Interactive's trend, they really need money, and so they have to go to where who's going to be paying. The multiplayer crowd is by and large not the biggest. Yeah, you may get a lot per person, not that much. It will never overcome the single player crowd. And we see two examples: StarCraft 2 and Total War. Total War being the better comparison if in terms of spenders. The multiplayer crowd is very small in Total War, and they have actually caused a lot of problems for the health of the Total War community because the multiplayer balance affected the single player balance, and it just ruined a lot of things. And StarCraft, now, if you want a better executed example, StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2's multiplayer community, while larger, most people actually played for the campaigns. And when they added new campaign mission with the Spec Ops campaign, and they also added co-op missions, a lot of people were forking over money for the commanders for the co-op missions and the fun custom factions or altered factions you can play.
There's one thing you almost missed, Fuzzy. They also kept the single player balance separate from the multiplayer.
Yes, I almost forgot that. Yeah, that meant that the co-op people and the single player people could not have their fun ruined by the very loud and not that often paying, and I have to stress that, not often paying multiplayer crowd, who are actually more expensive than you think, because the single player people don't need these expensive servers and networking and constant maintenance crews, while the single player co-op people, that's a lot more straightforward and easier to develop for in the long run. It's like, yeah, you're developing new missions and maps and everything, but guess what? It's not like you're constantly have to do with server maintenance or listening to multiplayer feedback and changing the metas and what's the word I'm thinking of? Turning over the meta upside down constantly.
To keep the game fresh. Because that's usually what it boils down to, especially when you have asymmetrical factions in these kinds of games. For those that aren't familiar, when you have an asymmetrical faction, they have unique playstyles. So it's not just like a guy with a gun. It's this faction plays differently because it functions differently. And so that asymmetry, you'll see echoed in MMORPGs with their balance and multiplayer. And asymmetry usually, realistically, isn't actually truly balanceable unless you have like a mirror match. Team Fortress 2 is asymmetry that's balanced because, yeah, while there are different classes, both parties get the same classes.
Both parties get access to every class. It's just how do you want
and
to...
they can switch at any time.
Yeah, it's how do you want to build your party.
Versus an RTS,
and if you want an
example
example of how... And I have to give one more RTS example. Stormgate. I have to talk about this one. Stormgate was mostly multiplayer focused in most of its marketing, as its advertising. They were trying to cater to the hardcore StarCraft 2 multiplayer crowd. How much money did they make? Not that much more, because the hook, which needed to be the world building, the atmosphere, the fun campaign, the stuff that would bring in a lot of players to play, as we'll see later examples during the bunch cast. They did not bring in that much money. They had some way overpriced microtransactions that they were hoping to milk a bunch of multiplayer whales for that ended up not bringing them that much money and not that much attention. The few campaign missions I've played were atrocious. The multiplayer balance was completely thrown out of the wall, and they have yet to fix it. I remember playing with a hardcore StarCraft 2 player friend, and I remember just not having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the core top tier Blizzard people. I know this from Jason Schreier's book. This is the Blizzard A team, and a lot of the A team that developed this, and this is what we got. They completely lost touch with what brought people into the StarCraft universe in the first place.
Yep, that can happen. And even if you have a lot of top team people, like if you take those team people from their environment and put them in a new team, that changes things dramatically and changes vision. There's also, narcissism that slips in there too, because, the success of StarCraft kind of builds you up. Like, I can only imagine what that must be like. It's like, you worked on StarCraft 2? That did very well. Obviously, anything you touch is probably going to be turning into gold, right? You'd think. But, obviously that wasn't the case.
Yeah, a great example of arrogance and narcissism taking over a team. You can look no farther than Bungie.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
With the Halo,
Yeah,
Halo
but
releases,
I think-
where they just started basically filleting themselves every time they released an update about how great they were.
Oh my god. I can't help but think back to my university days where I talked to a Bungie engineer, not whether the artsy fartsy or the business people, an AI engineer, and the stuff he told me about. Oh my god.
Oh, also Kib's music.
Oh, yes. Chatfish like music, don't you? A little bit, Kib. A
I
little bit.
do.
And did you want to show the fan art?
We will show it later. Let's focus on getting through the bunch cast first, because we got a lot of subjects to get through. First things first, let's get you that music, chat, that noise you need in your little eardrums.
Oh, Plague hates music.
Yeah, I think I already made the point of how multiplayer crowd can ruin RTSs.
Yeah, well, that's the truth of any competitive crowd, really.
Yep. But that was, again, touching base with single player versus multiplayer. Now, I don't think multiplayer should be, lambasted for existing, because that's ridiculous. But I think often what happens is single player games get overlooked, right? Earlier, when Oblivion launched, a former Blizzard executive basically said that, things will never be the same because, Dark Souls and Elden Ring, like, everything has been defined as it has to have an online connection functionality. And you're not going to see single-player RPGs or single-player games do good, right? Then, like, literally a few days later, this fucking gem dropped. Oblivion 4 Remastered. And it's sold like hotcakes and is doing incredibly well. Absolutely
had no
blowing out the
advertising,
market. No
basically.
advertising. Now they
Just
did
literally drop.
Yeah, I don't think they need to, because it's kind of one of those things where it's culturally a massive beacon.
Oh yeah, but the only thing that was released was like there was leaked screenshots, and then they did a Twitter thing of like, hey, here's a date, with no explanation of what it is, and then they dropped it, and the game just sold.
I think they were spending more time teasing people with the idea of it, by like forcing out a leak, and then saw the reaction to it, and then pushed it a little further, and then they just released it because they knew like hype was there already. The media circus already gave it all the advertising it needed.
Yep. And it just basically caught on like a wildfire. It does show that I think a lot of these executives are kind of out of touch with what people actually want. And that's why we don't see like Blizzard producing what we want to see. We don't see Warcraft 4 or StarCraft 3. We just see another Diablo game and another fucking MMO like expansion. When we want more single player stuff.
That has been a problem with a lot of executives. They see, how do I put this? When it comes to the big money makers of multiplayer, there is so bloody competitive, and it's dominated by only a few select games with high spenders and high lock-on rates. They're just, and when you, it looks large. It's like but it's highly concentrated. You have virtually the entire multiplayer crowd focused on a select few games, but how the percentage of that crowd of the wider gaming sphere is actually not as big as these executives think, and they haven't really done the number crunching to visualize that, and a lot of developers haven't been effective in communicating that to the leadership, on top of leadership not really being receptive.
Yep, that's very
That
true.
makes sense.
No, it does, I believe. Like, I think a lot of people, and I can see Chad echoing this too, like, a lot of them kind of feel like, yeah, the biggest sellers are single-player games. Like, this, and that's for this year, right? You do have oddities, like, you do have things like Helldivers 2, like we did last year, right? And that did very, very well. Like, and it's still doing very well today. But the big thing is that the single-player kind of market's kind of starved, like, especially when it comes to RTSs, RPGs, or even shooters for that matter, right? Like, when's the last time you got a good shooter campaign like you did with Halo, or with, like, Killzone 2, or, like, you know, the old Call of Duties, like Modern Warfare Classics, right? Like, unless it's a boomer shooter, I can't think of anything new in terms of FPS shooters that have been like, yeah, this is good. Like, no, it's
Mostly
nothing's
Indian
come
doubles,
to mind, really.
mostly Indian double A off the top of my head.
yeah, and that's
Also-
kind of the sad part, yeah.
I'll point out Helldivers wasn't a versus multiplayer game. It's a
It's a PvE,
co-op
actually.
game. Yeah, it's a co-op
PvE.
game.
It's funny because PvE and single player, I think, are actually stronger markets right now than PvP. Mostly because PvP markets are kind of dominated by things like battle royales, and PvP crowds
Or
like that
Counter-Strike.
kind of stuff. And those markets are
Rainbow
kind of already,
Six.
you know, yeah, Rainbow Six, or even the current Call of Duties. Those are also dominated by that. Because appealing to the multiplayer crowds is actually far easier, but once you appeal as the mainline multiplayer game, you are the mainline multiplayer game. There are some exceptions, right? But if you look at those big fucking PvE communities, like the Arma 3 communities that do those, you know, roleplay servers of Trench Crusade or Warhammer or whatever the fuck, you know? Like, those are actually quite big too, and have massive modding communities even erected around these things. It's rather fascinating, you know, to see community and user-based content be generated to such high levels of quality and degree. But a lot of studios do want to follow trendsetters. You're absolutely right. And Night Motorcyclist says that as well. He says a lot of studios will want to follow Call of Duty because it's, you know, a big trendsetter. They want that legacy, right? They're not happy with settling for just great. And this is something, before I move on to that point, Mr. Personality $2 says, chasing trends instead of leading. Yes, trend chasing. Now, trend chasing isn't bad by its necessity. Some of the best games come out that trace trends usually are basically what do you call it, polished versions of a idea, because they take that
Refining
idea
it.
and they refine it. Yep. Helldivers 2 it is a trendsetter because it revolutionized a trend that was boring. Extraction shooters have become formulaic and kind of boring. Before Helldivers 2 came out, I was kind of sick of them, like Vermintide, Darktide, blah blah blah, you know, World War Z. They're move to point A to point B, that's it. And there's no real variety beyond that. Memorize routes and it got boring. Introduce Helldivers. Big open area to explore, objective to tackle at your own free volition. Holy shit. Now I'm interested again, right? You take these ideas and you revolutionize it and you put it into something that's new. Sometimes it can be good, but other times they follow, you know, in that same track record of just becoming monotonous and tedium. But yes, absolutely right, little Chatfish. Absolutely right. Now, for the next little subject we have on our list. Oh boy, God help me. This is gonna be... We must endure, chat. You have to be brave.
Get down the
You're not
popcorn.
old enough, kid.
No! What do you mean I'm not old enough?
You didn't. Never mind. Here.
Like, I didn't ask for an age that time.
I'm in.
Because it was able to connect to his account.
So this is a game... Now, I'm gonna start this off based on... Because most of chat is gonna be on the same page with me, because this is one of those things. But, this is a game that basically launched, and it was kind of like everybody talked about it, and then it face planted, and then nobody talked about it, and it sort of just faded from the limelight. But why is it back? Tell us.
Rapier, you can talk about the current incarnation. I will talk about the old incarnation.
Yes,
of the
so
game.
as to why it's back. So basically, the first game released and it kind of flopped from what I can tell. I mean, it might have did initial well, but like it wasn't received well. Like it might have sold okay, but then no one actually really stayed around or liked it. So then they kept updating the game. They've more or less re-released the game, pretty much completely revamped and reworked, to the point where it's pretty much a new game. Like the story's the same and a lot of the mechanics are the same, but like it feels completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And it just did its 2.0 update, which introduced a lot of features along with seamless co-op and full co-op progression.
My God, it's already better than Elden Ring and Dark Souls.
And as for its original launch, Reguline can take over for that, because now that's actually a separate game that's just Lords of the Fallen 2014.
Yes. So what was it,
14.
and why did it faceplant in the beginning, Squealy?
Okay, so they actually released the first trailer suggesting that you could complete the game fully in co-op. However, that was not really a feature in the game. People expected for you to be able to play with your friend and then for their own games to progress, but that wasn't what happened at all. It was essentially what the Souls game co-op was, but you get to stick around longer after you essentially beat a boss. And that's what was annoying about it, is that people expected it to be seamless co-op, but it wasn't. Also, initial release, they had really bad sound effects for a lot of the mechanics, specifically the parry system. It sounded rather anemic compared to another game that came out at the time, Lies of P, which was the direct comparison for this game. So as much as I don't like Lies of P, and I think it's a rather uninteresting game, it did have some good sound design, whereas Lords of the Fallen did not, and that's what pushed it even further into the. It kind of just didn't sell itself well. Then there was the actual combat itself. You had a lot of forward momentum whenever you attacked things. Is that the same now, Rapier?
You do still move forward on attacking, but it doesn't feel bad. Like it feels like
Okay.
it flows well.
So the original Lords of the Fallen release, moving forward, you would essentially move like 20 feet forward every time you attack someone, and it was constant, and it felt like you were having to constantly reposition yourself, despite the flow of the combat being very fast. The enemy design also, I think they adjusted certain spawn rates and how things are handled, but the enemies themselves had a issue where they would just gang up on you in the same way Dark Souls 2 did, where you were constantly fighting fucking hordes and would not always have a way to deal with them.
As Zar points out, the lunge forward thing, it's going to depend heavily on the weapon type. Like some 200 weapons are going to have more forward momentum, whereas like smaller ones won't. But none of the weapons have felt bad so far that I've been trying.
There was an issue that I did hear about. I didn't know if I agree with it at the time though, but people had a problem with how fast everything really was. Like you'd use a two-handed sword, right? And it would feel like you're using a dagger with how quickly you'd be attacking. So it didn't feel like there was any impact in the actual attacks you had to work with.
All right, so I can confirm, at least from what I've played with the 2.0 version of the game, it definitely feels like the inside impact. Like, yes, attack combat is quick, but I didn't feel like, oh, this big 200 weapon it should be much slower. Like it felt right. Like they've basically just been polishing and polishing and polishing. Also, there's armor customization for colors, which you don't see in Souls games. Yeah, it's just extremely polished from the original. They've added features, added mechanics. Completely redid the sound design, the just move sets, animations, pretty much everything. And one of the really big selling points, at least from what I can tell, is you can full co-op with a friend, and he doesn't have to buy the game.
That's
there's a friend pass now.
incredible.
So only one person needs to buy the game. The other person can get the friend pass, which gives you full access to the tutorial area and character creator, and then they can join and fully play through the game co-op in your world.
That's actually incredible. That is incredibly bold to do something like that.
Now,
Holy shit.
caveat with
This is
co-op.
also like
Yeah, no,
3
doesn't
years
have-
after release.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, it's basically a full remake of the game, pretty much.
Mm.
Story, from what I've seen, based on like the story pages, is the same, like the same element, same universe, same setting, but it's just everything just feels polished. It's unironically like probably one of the best Souls games. Actually, not one of the best Souls like game I've played.
The seamless co-op thing and the fact that the friend pass thing is just really cool because even as somebody who's not super into
Honestly,
these
yeah.
games, like that's fucking awesome. Because like I'm not into these games, but like if a friend invited me to play it, now it's like, oh, now I don't have to buy it.
Like,
You
when
can
I was
actually
playing like
basically
Dark
test out
Souls,
the game without paying for it.
Your friend can
when
just
I was
show
playing
you.
like Dark
yeah.
Souls 1 and 2, like the only reason I played those games is basically like a friend and I would basically just summon each other into each other's games to play the game. So if they actually have a thing where it's like, no, we understand that that's the experience a decent chunk of people are wanting,
Yeah.
and they're catering to that, that is good.
That's
Now-
honestly why I never really wanted to get into Dark Souls, because it was such a tedious thing to do, like the co-op thing. And this game, like, they just did away with that. Like, that's
You
actually
basically
cool.
you get to the bonfire or vestige in game, and you just click invite friend. They spawn into your game, and they
They'll
are
stay
there
there.
until you end the session.
That's all fucking amazing.
Like you can teleport around. Like
That's a
the only thing you
fucking-
can't seem to interact with, that I know of so far, is the chest for like item storage, which I don't even know if there's a reason to.
There's no
'Cause-
reason to.
You have it's like I think it was like 2,000 item slots.
I think this is actually infinite, but there's not enough items to actually fill up your inventory.
Yeah,
so
but yeah, pretty much. Now the seamless co-op is basically with the 2.0, so it is a little buggy. We haven't, so far with Czar, we haven't really had desyncs or any lag issues, but there is a weird bug, and then they are very receptive to feedback, and they do literally address. I mean, that's the whole 2.0 thing, is basically fixing all the issues the community had. Like one of the things that's added is a dedicated jump button, which doesn't sound like much, but for a Souls game, that's pretty big. Most games don't let you just have a jump button.
Mhm.
But
They also
pretty
reworked
cool.
the
There is
item
some-
wheel
there is-
for the spells.
yeah, there's some good bug. And the cool thing with the setting that I don't really see any other Soul game do is effectively you have the game world, and then there's an alternate universe layered on top of it that you can go to at any time. Will have different things in it. Basically, like an eldritch world that you can see with your lamp, and then you can travel to it.
I will make a personal what's it called? Not correction, but what's the word?
Oh my god, spit it out
Where
before I
you-
beat you.
Where you're essentially like pointing out a problem you have with the game. What's it called again?
Critique?
Critique. It's a personal critique. So, yeah, I forgot the word.
Mm.
So, my personal critique with the Umbral versus the real world gimmick is that it's required. It's not a thing that's optional. You have to use it to go into the Umbral area.
You will well, yes, you do have to
To
progress
progress.
sometimes, but
So
it's
it's not-
not always forced. Like there is plenty of
not-
side extra content.
It's not
that you can access.
necessarily optional, the Umbral. Which
No,
is what
but
the whole idea of it was in the marketing.
the entire story is literally dealing
it's
with
based
the
around
Umbral.
But
Oh,
what I'm
right.
trying to point out is you're not really exploring as much as you're just going down the linear path anyway, just through the Umbral side.
Okay.
It-
Well, we're
yeah,
moving.
no.
We're gonna move past. So,
Yes. 'Cause
Tarantino donates 50 Norwegian kroner and says, "Is not Vermintide and Darktide just Left 4 Dead copies? They are. That is literally what I was talking about. Hence why I was just like, the extraction shooters become formulaic, because they were. That was in regards to the Helldivers 2 conversation about taking a genre and pushing it forward and doing something fresh. You have some hands?
I don't know about hands, but I think
you. Okay.
extraction shooters have a upper ceiling on what they can do,
They do.
because there's only so much that you can pack into a round before you hit the formulaic. You got to evac.
Yep,
Yeah.
you gotta leave. That part still remains the same, absolutely. but I do think that the whole sandbox approach to it was actually really nice. Where it's like, do what you want. You have 45 minutes to do whatever you want. Go do it. Get as much stuff done as you want, and then you can leave whenever.
I think, on the other hand, I think it should be like an extraction shooter. Is you drop onto a fucking planet, and then it's 7 days to die.
You have to hold. Oh, you know that could be cool. Where you go down to a planet, and your job is to build a position and like fortify it and hold it and draw the enemy to you, and then like evac after like 7 days or something like that.
Yeah,
That could
like
be
something, or longer, just depending. But it needs to be something where, you have to actually fight to survive instead of just racking up points.
Sounds like what that Icarus game was trying to be.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Or like maybe like rescue a VIP on a planet or something like that.
So you
Yeah.
spend a little bit more time rather than a mission for as 45 minutes. Yeah, that's a great way to push that idea and that genre further again. Definitely, it'll be interesting to see if
Because
somebody
you can have like a spec ops team that's an extraction shooter, except they just don't have a time limit to be on the planet.
Mhm.
It is don't get caught,
just do as much damage as you can.
and that there could be a timer when you do get caught, and you got to rush
Yeah.
the mission. But I don't think I don't like extraction shooters because there's a time limit for a lot of these, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that was one thing that was different between HD1 and HD2. HD1, you
Yeah.
had no timer. And the timer, 45-minute timer, I think exists because that way the session can end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more of a meta reason they have
I
the
think
timer.
server
it's server
reason?
hosting, yeah. I think
Yeah.
so the server has like it's technically like a 50 or like 60-minute limit because then you have the X amount of time.
Well,
to
they
do
also
so.
have lives in Helldivers too.
Yep. That might be correlate there for server stress load. Because each time you deload a session, you go to the lobby.
Hmm.
And then the server doesn't have to host that anymore. Yeah, true. But yeah, this game, actually kind of interesting. For a game, like, I don't really like Souls games. I borderline hate them. But I'd be
Notorious
actually...
hater.
Yeah, pretty much. That's me.
Like I said, this
Hater
one
man
actually
kid.
feels good. Like all the other ones always have levels. Like this one actually just
Yeah.
feels really good to play, and it's got a free version, so you can just try it.
But next up we have is Clear Obscure Expedition clears 500,000 sold copies. That French game that I'm not a big fan of is doing very well. It turns out the crowd it appeals to really likes it.
And also, I have to add, this came out the same week as Oblivion.
Yeah.
When that
Now-
fire was mega hot. Which
Not
is a
only
good
was
sign
it
for
mega
single-player
hot,
games.
Clear Obscure Expedition was also pretty popular and had some decent traction, but Bethesda also gave their game a shout out upon releasing Oblivion. Talk about
I thought it was
magnanimous.
Ubisoft
Jesus
that did
Christ.
that
No, that was Bethesda. I'm 90% sure, wasn't it?
because
They
they were
made
ex,
me-
they were ex Ubisoft devs.
No, Bethesda. Why would Ubisoft give them a shout out? They don't give a shit about them.
In any case,
yeah.
they sold a lot of games while the week of Oblivion came out. Now I would say that when did it launch? Was it Tuesday, Wednesday? Or was it the beginning of the week? No.
Oblivion was the
Obscure-
22nd.
Obscure.
Okay. Yeah, Obscura.
Obscure launched on Thursday.
So,
Yeah, 2
okay,
days
so
later.
we're so 2 days later. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's impressive. If they had launched before and then got swallowed up by that, I would say that's that could explain it. The initial sales helped them, but no, it's impressive they got that much from just like following on the code trails.
I
of,
will say, just
Oblivion.
looking at the gameplay, they're very different types of RPGs. So I would imagine
True.
the people that were like interested in this type of gameplay, like they might be interested in Oblivion stuff, but they're not the same.
Yeah,
Very
JRPGs versus a sandbox open world RPG. Well, they are both under the RPG genre, and I have no doubt that either one of them stole sales from the other. That did happen. However, it doesn't matter.
On average, the average player of both games
It equalized.
are not necessarily interested in what the other game is offering.
I was right. It was Bethesda.
Yep, I posted in the chat. You're correct.
Yeah, fucking don't argue.
If you want to show
just
it,
agree with me. Just agree with me, chat. Just agree with me. Let that be a lesson to
He-
you.
Tibbs
yeah,
knows
wait.
who the character in the picture is now.
Yeah, that's the fucking annoying dude. He
He's a
doesn't.
great
His
fan.
face is drawn better here than it is in the game.
Filthy, disgusting
There's a
Bosmer.
lot of derpy in the. He's not
But
Boston,
yeah.
he's Ohio.
So Bethesda went out of their way and were a bit magnanimous and fucking basically says we can't wait to play it. Basically celebrating their game's launch alongside their
Right.
own. And then Kepler basically had a positive interaction with them and back and forth. So
Yeah.
that was good. Now, there were games that did release that did get BTFO'd, though. I do want to point that out. Because there were several, I believe, indies that basically, I think, were complaining that they basically got overshadowed. Which they were. Expedition 33 is not an indie game. It is a massive, borderline
AA.
AAA. It's borderline AAA. It's a double A. Indies did get curb stomped into the ground. They got stampeded and obliterated. That did happen. There's no doubt about that. At all. But it's nice to see the AAAs and AA's handshaking. I didn't see them shout out any of the other games, though. I will underscore that. Because as magnanimous as that may seem, it's not as kind as you would think it to be. But yeah, so that's fascinating to see regardless. It managed to survive and do relatively well. The Mecha Musume got curve stomped. Yeah, I don't even know. And he's got it sent to
I didn't even
Oblivion.
heard of that one.
They did. Yeah, you know why you didn't hear of it? It got sent to Oblivion. Now, here's a game I found that it's just got an IGN sort of gameplay review. It's called God Save Birmingham. And it looks kind of cool. It's a zombie game, and, you know, I've got a soft spot for zombie games. So we're just going to take a look at the gameplay trailer. It's only 8 minutes. Really? Is that the quality you're going to give me, YouTube? For God's sake. At least give me fucking 1080p.
Yes.
Second you said zombie game, it reminded me of another game.
It's a zombie survival game. But the big interest I have in this is that it looks like it's not like your standard survival game. Like the zombies are quite simulated. They're the classic archetypical slow zombies.
Mm-hmm.
But the environment kind of reminded me of Kingdom Come Deliverance a bit.
I was gonna say it unironically looks like you're like a
Third person KCD.
not medieval peasant per se, but like maybe like merchant class or something like that.
Yeah, I would say that the medieval knights would just go fucking thrive in this
Yeah.
environment.
That's kind of my
Yeah,
focus when you get
unironically-
like armor and steel that you actually turn out that way. Because I think you start off
Yeah,
as like a
unironically,
peasant.
knights would be good against zombies.
But
Funny
the
you
quality of
mention
this
that.
is actually what caught my attention.
Wait, hold up. Was that a knight in chainmail and gambeson,
That might have been.
or sergeant at arms?
There's a noble right there.
This game immediately made me think of Blight Survival.
You know, the stealth takedown's cool, but like, it waited.
I like how you immediate.
That was a little slow for a reaction.
This is more of a cinematic thing because the player is intentionally being slow. You can tell to create a cinematic experience.
I like this number of it.
You know, it looks pretty good. That's why I was interested. And like the whole barricading thing is cool.
Is he gonna get the cheese on the desk? No. Okay.
Moldy though. It's not zombie. Zombie.
Suboptimal.
Hey, he got the cheese.
Suboptimal.
And the grapes.
Different cheese.
No, he got the different cheese, yeah.
All this for a few drops of
Oh god, this game would scare the piss out of me.
Oh look, you got clambering kits.
He does. But can he climb it without a chair? What I like is that it's using the environment. There's environmental things.
I'll switch to first person so you can see where you're placing.
Exhausted.
That accrued as an exception. Doing a pull-up.
It's sort of like Project Zomboid, where it's got lots of like simulated mechanics, so you have
Oh,
to
yeah,
deal with
that-
exhaustion and stuff.
He got a massive amount of hunger from doing
Yeah,
that.
he did.
Very exhausting.
Very exhausted.
I can see how that would get annoying really quick.
I can potentially see why they would want to do
They'll
that, though,
probably
because in
balance it, I assume.
yeah, because like in
No.
Zombie, you do a lot.
Adrenaline doesn't exist.
Got the panic moves too.
See what I mean though? Project Zomboid, it's got the meeples.
It's medieval. Yeah, it's
yeah,
medieval.
medieval
Project
PC.
Zomboid, but third person.
Now, my question is, how good are the like physics? Like, is that we're gonna be
How
reliable?
good is the game at understanding that that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I know, right?
He attacked the
Why don't you just sweep the fucking ladder out from under her? Oh, there it
No,
goes.
he's just bad nothing.
But I do like
And
how
the ladder fucks
the
up.
ladder does do that.
Physics of the ladder.
Then you break your fucking kneecaps doing that.
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
Yep,
You could have just
he
fucking...
got leg injuries for that.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure they did that intentionally to show off the leg injury.
Yep, the mechanics and status effects.
It is an engine. I'm guessing that they are just scripting a lot of it though.
This whole thing is
Is that
scripted.
it looks like ketchup and mustard bottle right there.
Oh. Oh, look, the hobbling menu gives. Look at that, look at that. And now you're just faster than the zombies.
The zombies are super slow in this, from what I can tell. But that's for design reasons. There's a guy in mail over there, I think.
I think that's just a cloth. He cuts the black because there's no way he's
That
doing
could be neat, but we.
Well, there's more.
And a helicopter.
Good
I only got to that part before I stopped because I'm like, this looks interesting. So that's why I grabbed it. So I don't know what's going to happen now.
He's so hangry yet he has not eaten his cheese.
He needs water.
He's thirsty. He's telling me he needs some little cheese. So this is like his safe house? Immersive sim elements.
And also magically his leg's better.
Oh my god, don't put the rat in there.
Adding railroad.
Right.
Imagine you fuck up cooking, you fuck your and that's just what happens.
No, do it be even
Just
be
gets
even
eaten.
funnier. You cut your thumb off and it goes in there, but it gives you extra protein.
Get out of my house. Get out of my...
For a safe house, it's not very safe. It's like see things outside already.
No,
That's
so it's
just all the
also.
crafting.
I was wondering if that's why they did it.
Yep, so you can show you how you can fortify.
Yeah, a lot of these. This is just third-person medieval PC.
Yeah, it is just. Oh my god, it is. Medieval
It's just
Project Zomboid.
It drops it. It literally.
It
is.
grabs the
Like, you,
plane.
you know what that means? Gameplay is going to be people walking in front of a massive horde of zombies. Just
Yeah, just slow walking around will be.
See,
No,
my
no,
question
no,
is,
no,
will
no.
this have co-op? Because that would be amazing.
To be clear, what I'm just saying, it's just that. That's
What
not
are
a
you
bad
nailing
thing,
that
what
to?
I'm saying.
That's air.
He's not. That's
You didn't
not-
notice when he was walking on air with the ladder?
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Feast,
Beast.
feast upon the cheese and wine.
Cheese forever.
Yeah, what about his fucking thirst?
We've got
What?
wine.
That's a big bite. That's a big bite of cheese.
Bullshit.
Hey, in the medieval ages, they used wine and alcohol for drink more than water because water was dangerous. Because
They use beer, Kibbs, not wine.
Yes, it was beer.
Whatever.
Because it was disinfected, or not. Basically, there was no risk of getting all the shit if you just drank water, because they didn't know just boiling it would help.
Hello.
Now he's got to fight more drunk.
Ends.
If you're hungry, they're hungry.
Then it pulls it out. It shows
Yep,
you
they
down.
always do that in the fucking thing.
Time for you to die.
And then it says, "This is how you die." And it's like, "It is products on board."
Oh, if it does.
No, and the fucking little raccoon thing pops up.
But yeah, God Save Birmingham looks kind of cool, and it's available for wishlisting on Steam.
So, have you seen Blight Survival?
I think I have.
It's in the chat.
I'll
It's
just
also
open it.
gay.
Blight Survival is another medieval one, but it's more indie as far as I know. Actually, I don't know.
It's
This is what Bucky was talking about with Knights, by the way. They're going to town.
It's
This one
such a
also
great
has-
aesthetic.
from what I understand, this is going to be a co-op extraction style.
Is this the
game.
time travel one or no?
No,
This
that's
isn't the time
Kingmaker.
travel one. This is the zombie Knights one.
Yeah.
Extraction shooter?
It looks so good.
It's going to be, from what I understand, it's going to have extraction elements. Yeah.
Like you have that one schmuck
Did
in
you-
Birmingham, and then you have
Did
this
Bucky
guy
just snort?
going
Was
around
that Bucky?
fucking-
That was me trying not to burp out loud.
God damn it. The zombies know how to fight back, though. They're
It's
smart.
also more of a magical thing than this, from what I can tell.
Good. The zombies
zombies.
should have fast. Like they should be slightly fast if you got fucking armor like that.
Yeah.
Was there actually any more news about this game? I
Uh,
didn't see it.
4 weeks
Oh.
ago, they showed off a brief clip for a new zone, Marshland.
Yep.
The fact that you could like Knight's
slow development.
tackling is fucking great.
Oh yeah, he's heavy. He's gonna use that fucking.
So the other one is
Wait,
probably
there's
going to be a bit
advantage.
more super immersive based on what we've seen of this. This one's going to be
This is
more
more
probably how a
action.
knight would be.
More
Yeah.
actiony.
This is for, like, combat, which honestly both have their appeals.
No, I think it would be very funny if they shared the same world.
The same universe.
he meets the peasant.
What do we
Just,
go?
Hello, peasant.
Get in the
No,
farm
Ghost
fields.
What's wrong, what's wrong with you?
He finds the
Couple
guy's
seconds
house and he's like,
zombies.
"Oh, well, busted."
Hmm.
At least I think it's going to be extraction. I was glancing at the community, and that's what people were talking about. The gameplay's going to be.
Oh, durr.
Symbolism.
Non-zombies.
But they're banditos.
And they're British.
Oh shit, you can low crawl. Nice.
Stealth mechanics.
Sneaking a full play.
Pulls out a crossbow, parry this, you filthy
Now
casual.
that is funny because he is actually like crawling around in full.
Dunk,
So-
dunk, dunk.
So here's my thing. I think they did that just to do it. I don't think it was necessary in that setting to actually low crawl. I think they could probably just.
They're
crouch
This
demonstrating.
walk.
is showing.
They're showing the mechanic, yeah.
It's the same thing like with the last one where the guy jumped on the table to show that you can break your legs.
Yep. Unnecessary, but just to demonstrate. Look at these fucking.
Oh, he's gonna stealth kill.
Time shows stealth takedowns. Yep. Here we go. Poor guy. Well, that's mean. Could've just gone for the throat right away.
No, you go for the lungs first, because then they can't scream.
That is true. He had a puncture dagger too. Oh no!
Tiered gear.
No, not the tiered gear system. Common. Green, gray, blue, purple.
Where?
Common.
Yep. See? Come.
A U
Yeah.
longbow. Nice.
Still
Just
could be
like
fun.
RuneScape.
But you. That looks good. And there's the multiplayer.
Friend.
I assume.
Yay, friend.
And that's the
You
co-op.
can tell who they are because they're running around also in armor.
Hello, fellow
But
protagonist.
he's also wearing a kill helm. Banditos.
Turns out the other bandits were actually just players that were on VoIP.
Mhm. Or he low crawled past allied units.
Allied enemies.
Yeah.
Just
There are
kill
games like that.
They're allies, so they can't hurt them, but they can steal
No,
them.
no, I understand there are terms like that that are like actually serious.
Yeah, like the Flood in Halo 3.
Allied enemies.
The Western Hinterlands. No, I don't think it's an extraction shooter. It looks kind of open.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, the info's, at least from the community, seems a bit
Because it
muddled.
seems like you're able to go to new areas without actually having to worry about, like, running or extracting. You can tack it at your own leisure. I think it's going to be semi-open world, if I had to guess.
Looter Crusader.
Yeah. Oh, his shirt was clipping pretty bad there. His shirt was
Right.
clipping.
The other clip, which they don't have on the website, on Steam, is just literally it's a 50-second clip of the guy of them showing off the marshland area.
Like, I don't see anything that makes me say, no, I don't want to play this game. It looks cool.
I was just commenting because when this game was we first started, it immediately reminded me of
Oh,
that
wait,
one.
that's right. Hold on.
How are you
Online
playing-
co-op, yeah. Okay, there we can see that. I was going to see, in
Yeah.
order to confirm that there wasn't PvP. And what was that one called? God Save Birmingham.
Right. Yep.
Now we can learn something about it from its tags, if nothing else.
Blake says, how are you even going to extract? By boat? Yeah.
Nope, this one's going to be single player. At least they haven't released any more information about it.
And that one's gonna be early. It's gonna be early access.
How's the full
Is
version
it
plan?
a
Our plan for the
indie
full
dev?
version, God Save Birmingham, is a much larger town with a number of new system mechanics and additional things. We're also planning a very light narrative elements, like additional playable characters with unique gameplay styles and objectives. That might change, remember. Early access, they might start with ideas that are much loftier. This track is kind of louder. This is the second trailer.
Blake
for it.
says he's sending me something.
So wait, you can get plate armor. Yep.
Ah, yes. Just run through Zomboid strategy.
This is basically Zomboid, though. Oh my god.
Nice.
I don't. What was the point of the guy screaming? Oh, like he wasn't.
No, that was the zombie that did that. Whoa!
The zombie breaking its teeth on his plate.
This really is just like medieval zombie.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like, look
I mean,
what
it
it's
could be
related
cool.
to. It's right here.
To be fair, the similar games is nonsense on Steam.
Yeah, this time it's accurate though. Those both look really cool. What was that other game, Bucky, where you fucking time travel and you shoot knights?
Kingmaker?
Kingmaker. This Kingmakers with an S.
Kingmakers.
This also
It's such
looks
a great
pretty good.
fucking game.
Time travel.
It's just a nonsense fucking have fun game.
It's a Warriors game, but
No,
made in
it's a
America.
super serious story.
So
Look,
it's,
it's town building.
it is a hybrid RTS third-person game.
I don't know where he's from.
That looks to be actually trying to do something like this haha silly simulator game.
I mean, the concept is silly, but it's fucking kind of metal.
That truck would be so fucked up.
Oh god, I
funny.
hope you can get one of those combines from a tractor.
He's just
Also,
Warriors
the
and
destruction models are pretty good. Like, did you notice when he shot this guy with the shield, it broke parts of the shield as well?
Yep. Oh damn! That fucking head of that horse has disappeared.
Basically, this is the kind of isekai I like. That guy.
So you only like American Isekai, got it.
This is more Slavic, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a Slavic Jessica.
This is if you've seen
Have
Slavic
we seen
isekai,
him
they're
during
like this.
any-
I
Have we
was
seen
time to fight Hitler.
Yeah, pretty much.
alcohol or vodka?
So you can instantly go back to the RTS,
Yep.
order your units, and then go back to being third person over the shoulder. That's
I have a special place more for like the
Apache.
RTS games that it's also like
People, a future.
Just
third
stupid.
person where you can switch back and forth.
Yes, I like that a lot, actually.
There's not a lot of them, and most of them are not well made.
This is just how the winged hussars came in.
You know, I understand why he wants to destroy that future.
By the way, real quickly, why he wants to destroy that future, I want to point out one quick thing. That may look like a smiling cat, but those are skulls. Yeah, those are skulls.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even know. I was just seeing the smiling cat, and I understood why.
Those are
Those are
skulls coming
skulls?
out of, yes, those are human skulls falling out of that thing right there.
Yay, genocide.
I'm just
yay.
looking at the fucking
Do
the
not
symbols on the
open.
banners.
Evil bees
And also,
took
if you
over,
look in the
maybe?
background,
Evil bees.
and if you look in the background, there's others like these things just floating around.
Yeah, I say
The
4
wacky
others.
shit.
There also was at the start of, like,
insect
in the beginning when
creatures
he's driving the
conquer
truck
the
through a blasted wasteland, and then he goes back in time.
Hmm.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it looks kind of cool, and it's definitely,
If
okay.
you play this,
The reason
you'll
why
think I'll
it's
use a dual bill shotgun
Tiny
and a
build.
chainsaw.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense now. Now that I see that it's Tiny Build doing it.
Well, I think they're publishing it.
publishing. It's developed by Redemption Road Studio. My fat head is in the way, but I can close this and we can see. Ta-da! Wow! Let's look at
Well,
it.
regardless, Tiny Build is usually doing like weird games like this.
Columbia Rise and Fall did that. What is your opinion on how they did that? I thought it was fun and good, but it was super obscure. I have Rise and Fall Civilization. It is a game in which you can play as Romans, Egyptians, or Greeks, and I think something else, but you can actually swap to the hero character, and it's exactly like this, by the way. But it's old.
Moogie has found another kind of zombie medieval game called Hunger.
Put
He
it in the
posted
chat.
in the Bickering bunch.
Put it in the chat now.
I'm copying the link.
Do it before I kill you.
Use your powers.
Then when I kill you, you will be dead and I will be alive. He's like, no, because I'm alive. And he's dead.
Intentionally doesn't post it.
Why is
And
Blake
there it's in the
DMing
chat.
me? Blake,
They say
DM,
things.
DM fucking what's his nuts? Choomba, send it to Choomba instead. Because that account I can't open on this one. That account has sensitive lore bits. Sensitive lore bits. Alright, this. Oh, I think I saw a picture of this. But was this just announced the other
Peggy
day?
18.
Let's take a look. Oh, that's kind of spooky. Tears of Hell Let Loose.
That's an interesting
All
choice.
right.
Death hath cast its shadow o'er this land.
Pike and shot, or just no, this is a
All
little bit
hope seemeth lost.
Napoleonic?
newer.
I see.
Yeah.
I see Flint.
Given this, I would say probably more Napoleonic or
Why?
fantasy.
What seekest thou
Fantasy
in the
guns.
dark? A touch of warmth?
I would say Napoleon is
A
also
gold
it.
coin or two?
Yep, that happened.
Definitely Napoleonic.
No. Deep within these folds of flesh, you and I both know. Death has judged us rightly. For we are but beasts, unworthy of salvation.
One guy said, I want to do medieval zombies. The other guy
Okay,
said,
this shit looks fucking phenomenal, actually.
I like
would say,
those
like,
guns. Yes.
This is the most interesting.
I would
To
say
answer Czar's question, I'm gonna guess the original Hell Let Loose. That's not the ones that kind of took over and made it go to shit.
Yeah, this looks like the good kind of weird.
Is that
out of all the
just for a
zombie
kid I
ones,
get in the
this
back?
one interests me the most.
My only issue is I can feel like this is an extraction shooter.
It is.
No, to me, you would say. I want to say to me that kind of also looked like.
Yeah,
Vermintide
it
or
feels.
something.
Yes, it feels like Vermintide. Vermintide is an extraction shooter.
It also has a low FOV set. That gun looks and sounds good. Sounds great. actually.
PvPvE.
Look, he's got a Karas kid that saved him.
Fucking
Extraction RPG.
Yep. It's extraction. Depending on its execution, though, as long as it's like not like Vermintide, it could be good.
If the melee is chunky,
Yes.
it'll be good.
Because
yeah.
Vermintide, that's the big thing that held it back. It didn't have good. What the fuck? That's scary.
That's weird.
Back that up. What? No, one more time.
it's that meme.
The copy of cards. Is that the studio's logo? Okay. Hey, that's us. No, I don't want to look at our.
Reception.
Oh, hello,
It's
chat. How you
us
doing?
watching the stream.
Hello.
Hello, eat me. Beano, do you bring a subject? Go get your subject now.
Yeah.
Good Beano, good Beano. Rubs Beano's belly.
Okay. I have two subjects.
Well, put them in chat.
What?
And then we're gonna
Put them in
shush,
chat.
Don't, talk,
Don't say them.
because we're gonna keep
This
moving.
one, yeah, one is this one.
Shush! Don't
Yeah.
quiet you. Now, there was a bunch of little charts you gave me here, little fuzzy wuzzy. What are these charts for?
I was just posting those that a lot of people. Well, you remember in the past where EA says, yeah, multiplayer is the future, live
Oh,
service,
okay.
and yada yada. Remember all that?
Yeah.
I was just posting some. Now, if you look at that's the past year. That's the
good.
Baldur's Gate 3. Now, look over the past, 5 years? It's slightly higher, mostly because all the updates and everything. But, yeah. Multiplayer, single player dead. Yeah, no. Even though, now, this is Obsidian. Oblivion. I mean,
Bethesda.
Nice wave.
that was no marketing at all, and it's just printing money on Steam.
Cha-ching. And
What was the
then
third one?
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. Need I say more? I mean, look at
46,000.
that. It's still after 3 years. Like 3 years of being out, and it still has a healthy player base. It's like, and yet you see and yet in conjunction, if you look at that Forbes article, what do we get with all this live service multiplayer pushes? Cancellation after cancellation after cancellation, and just money being just flushed down the toilet. Meanwhile, you have all these single player games, Oblivion being the most recent.
This Forbes article?
Yeah. Gibbs.
Eh.
You're gonna have to disable your ad blocker.
How do I disable my ad blocker?
Top right. The little plug-in symbol, Gibbs. The plug-in symbol. Alright. Doesn't matter.
Whatever, just explain this. I don't need to look at Forbes. They're not getting ads from me.
Going off talking about the multiplayer, single player RTSs, you look at this and you're seeing a general trend of all these big, aside from Helldivers 2, all these multiplayer pushes just being canceled, having problems, wasting money, high turnover, while these single player games are seemingly releasing with almost no troubles in a focused vision. It's like to say that the multiplayer is the future of gaming is to ignore a huge section of the market that's being underserved, and you're seeing all these games come out that just print money. We see it with the player numbers, we see it with the sales figures. It's like, and one thing a lot of companies are realizing, most gamers are our age. They're in your mid-20s to 40s. A lot of us remember a time where single player was king, and we had a lot of good stuff that we fondly remember. Multiplayer, while it was a good add-on, it wasn't the main focus, and even in the younger generations, a lot of them were actually, aside from Fortnite, are one other ones that dominate everything. Single player is where the money's at.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but the issue is, and you said it earlier, with multiplayer comes servers, which means there's always a cost attached to it.
Yep, and
Single
constant
player-
patching and support and
Single
anti-cheats.
player, you can just have it, release it, and it's just out there. You don't need, like, they might do like updates here and there, but it's not necessary continuously to update it. And so what I would say is the reason they want to push multiplayer is for the upper end of like earning. Yeah, multiplayer could get you more money, which is why they want to push it, as well as games as service. But single player, you just need to put it out and then voila, boom, there it is.
That's true. The one thing
It's
I
actually
find
quite expensive to maintain these live service projects. The staff you need, the servers and everything is quite expensive. But a lot of companies are starting to realize more and more. Even Fortnite, for all the money it printed, the amount of they had to blow up in staff to maintain the content and maintain that player base and
well,
that
that
cash
and
flow.
once a multiplayer, like we talked about earlier in the stream, once a multiplayer game is established itself, it's on top, right? It's king of that market, and then dethroning it is not as simple as making a better product because companies really struggle.
How
to
many
do that.
companies have said they're going to replace WoW?
Or
how many companies have said that we're going to try to dethrone like League or Dota?
And then faceplant, yeah. Like
Or
that's
the
the big
COD
thing.
killers, Halo killers. I mean,
Yep.
Halo
Yes.
killed itself, but
Yep, the
But on a
big
more
thing is
positive note-
those franchises will kill themselves first, as we saw with the Oblivion remaster. Right, you take a game, and you take an old game that was goofy because Oblivion, the original Oblivion was goofy, and the new one, I played the remaster, it's goofy too, but somehow they've managed to maintain the spirit, and it seems the French team really knew what they were doing there. So it's good that they actually brought on the French for that. Because I don't know,
Well,
I
to
don't
be
know if
fair,
the
they
regular
also
Bethesda
said-
team in-house can actually pull it off after what I saw with Starfield.
To be fair, they also said it was a remaster, not a remake.
Yeah, but in a
So-
way, the entire game is like they overhauled quite a bit. Like from everything that I've heard from people that played Oblivion, adamantly and religiously, everybody seems to be more or less on the same page. Oblivion remaster is kind of better than the original. The original's still fun and charming, and still has its value, and is still available for sale at a very low rate for the complete collection. But the remaster seems to be doing very well. Like, very, very well.
Yeah, on a more positive note, the single player market is still healthy and there's still games there. As we saw with these player numbers and sales figures, there is still money to be made in a very healthy market, and there are still companies willing to serve it. It's just after the longest time, the execution, at least in the big AAA sphere, of satisfying that desire has been subpar. And as you're seeing now more and more that kind of satisfying.
Yeah.
If you look at the things that I posted, they
Well,
can
we know.
tie in this topic.
We'll see, but look at him trying to cut the line.
No, it's not. It's just that it's kind of like a similar topic. Like I was going to talk about.
What's this furry
failed life
stuff you
service.
dropped here?
Yeah.
What's this furry stuff?
Yeah, he says.
Gigant. Oh my god. Here we
Gigantic.
go.
Okay, no, that's the thing. Gigantic is a live service that failed once, and then they re-released it, and it failed again.
It failed
should be-
again.
Zero
like,
in game.
And the other one is Wild Assault, a live service that released like less than a month ago, I think. And it's not failing yet, but it's probably going to. It's like 2,000 people is not enough to justify
Live
a
service.
server.
Well,
Yeah.
the live
Yeah.
service only works in rare circumstances, right? We learned with Helldivers 2 that live service is actually feasible. It is possible.
They went with this Wild Assault one. They went with they sold the game, and there's the live service, and there's the free like the Game Pass, all the like nickel and dime stuff inside the game also, right? And what I want to talk about with this shoe is like they have a market, they have a niche, but this is what I mean when I say like it's just like superficial stuff, right? They just put a furry skin on top of like a third person Battlefield clone, and thought that was going to make a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they were
And
trying
the
to
other
tap
one-
into the untapped market, the aesthetic. They thought that
Mhm.
could carry it, yeah.
Yeah, and even the aesthetic was like the most generic shit ever. Like there's one or two characters that look interesting, everyone else looks garbage. And that's the thing. Like whenever people say like, you will like this, because people keep telling me like furry games, like you will like this because it's furry, and like I don't, because I think a good game that has like cute characters, stuff like that, is good, but a game that has only cute characters is not good. You get what I mean?
Yes, I very much believe that after playing what was those fucking gotcha games that chat made me play. Like, yeah, sure, they got Frontline or some Ghost Frontline or whatever.
Ghost
Like,
Frontline.
they've got attractive looking female characters and whatnot, but that's cute and all, but like without substance, that's not enough. Like, I need more than just a skin suit. I need an actual game with depth to it. And if there's nothing to it, then I don't care and I don't want to stick around. That's just me. Some people are just there for the visual aesthetic. Everybody consumes media on a different level. And how you consume media is completely up to the individual, right? Some people might just like certain things, right? Like Nier Gestalt is a bad game. But I like the story and I like the music. And despite it being a bad game, I like that game because the music and the story are really, really good. And that's why I like it.
So it's a bad game.
It is. But the difference is truth, right? Acknowledging faults in something you love is part of loving something, right? Like, yeah, I like Halo 3, but its campaign is retardedly short. It's too short. It's only like 4 to 5 hours tops. That's horrific. And that we deserved more. Simple. And, you know, maybe it's controversial, but that's just how I feel. The reality is that when it comes to games, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to quality, right? And you can like a game for aspects, but you don't have to like every aspect. Or you can like certain things, right? Like some people like the gacha games because they think they have a good story. And that's fine. That's subjective, right? You can like that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, at the bare minimum, I do think that games should at least have some semblance of good gameplay. I think that Nier Gestalt, while it has a beautiful story and beautiful music, I think it should have good gameplay. I think that it's fair to criticize the gameplay for being bad, because it is. Because story
That's
can
why I
lead-
couldn't finish Nier Automata. I got spoiled this story.
What's funny is
For
the gameplay's better than that one by like leagues.
Yeah, but
No,
I still
if
think
you're
it's kind of
playing-
shallow.
Sure, but the thing is, if you're playing Automata, play it for the gameplay. The story is
The story
special.
is so-so. The music is absolutely phenomenal, though. Excellent done. But moving on, we have a mini subjects to cover, and we're trying to get through them so we can do our pen and paper campaign before the, heat death of the universe.
No.
Let's see. Sven Vinke says fan mods shouldn't be treated like commercial ventures that infringe on your property. Just hours before Wizards of the Coast retracts its BG3 Stardew mod takedown. Now what, pray tell, am I looking at? Whoever submitted this article.
This was a controversy, and if you know Stardew Valley, this is a potential long-term battle that's been going between modding. Bethesda has its own, but this is another one with Wizards of the Coast,
And
where there's a
another one.
Stardew Valley mod where that brought in Baldur's Gate 3 characters. Now, Sven of Larian Studios defended the mod very vocally, while Wizards of the Coast tried to take it down. I think for a time it got taken down, if I recall correctly, it got put back up. But this just shows a bigger war of, okay, you have these single-player games and modding's keeping them alive and bringing all this interest, and you have all these corporate suits that are putting forward these bad policies that go after the very things and the very content and mods that help bring in people to these games. So Stardew Valley's been a big thing for a long time, and a lot of that has to be mods. Why do you think a lot of people like Bethesda games? Well, mods. Oblivion already has, what, dozens of hundreds of mods
300 over, and that was like within the first day. There are more on the way, by the way, and a lot more this weekend, and by next week, even more, and by next month, it'll eclipse that even.
Yeah. And why is Baldur's Gate 3, for example, related to this guy a big thing? Well, they made it easier for modders, including on console. You could get mods on console now because Larian has a built-in feature where you can go find these things, and mod developers can actually publish on these to make sure you're getting it to as wide a market as possible for people to enjoy mods. Yeah. Larian understands this. He understands that's why a lot of people like these games, and that's why he keeps making money. It's like people go, okay, there's a lot of fun stuff to do here. The key part being fun. So people come, people spread the word, people buy.
I honestly think that a lot of people in the industry and in the indie sphere undersell mods, and I know that because I get in disagreements with other people, even developers, about this a lot, about modding, and I always get in arguments about it, but I still adamantly believe that you should, at least, if you're not going to go out of your way to make your game moddable, you should at least, put resources or some sort of something out to help encourage modding. Modding is one of the things I think that is often overshadowed the most by so many people. And regardless of how many times I have this argument, I adamantly believe that we need to always try to improve and build upon modding. User-generated content is important. Games relying upon it, like Paradox and Bethesda relying upon it for sales, is bad. They shouldn't rely upon it for sales as a crutch, because they do. That's how they're able to get away with slop content sometimes, like with Starfield and other things. But the big thing is that we really need to accept that modding is a part of gaming culture and it should be embraced and accepted, rather than rejected, sued, attacked, right? Remember Halo Wars? Halo Wars killed one of the most prominent Generals mods of the 2000s, Halo Gen. Halo Gen was a total conversion mod that was going to convert Generals into Halo. And it was looking incredibly promising, but it got taken down because it was viewed that it could potentially threaten sales of Halo Wars.
Halo. Despite the fact that it was on PC.
It's a PC exclusive, Generals is, versus a console exclusive that Halo Wars 1 was at the time. There's no way these two can physically compete with one another. The only thing that you could possibly do is you could probably say that, oh, maybe Ensemble didn't do a good job, right? Even though Ensemble Studios went to go die producing Halo Wars, the studio that brought us Age of Empires killed itself on the altar of console RTSs, as many have before. Go ahead, Fuzzy.
Yeah, I was about to say, one thing you're noticing, a lot of companies that, like Lori and Stardew Valley being the two examples we're seeing here, those two companies have good return on investment, and this is their stance on modding. You're finding a lot of companies that, first of all, it's important to control for here, like I think Control Group. This is under the assumption your base is actually solid. A lot of companies that don't have a solid base, you look in the long run, like Creative Assembly, that went after mods for the longest time, they're struggling. Creative Assembly, they refuse to release a good base game that adds on to an already existing fun game. They have just gone after modders for so long, made it harder and harder to the point where, if you look at Attila, they had to engineer their own dev tools to make maps in Attila so they could bring in Third Age, and even then they tried to kill it.
Yes.
Still, I think that was Lord of the Rings. I don't remember which company did it, but they went after the modders, and all they did was slap a new name. But the point still stands. Where's Creative Assembly today?
You know what? You missed one, Fuzzy. You missed something. The community managers went out of their way to not only attack individual content creators, but also went out of the way to harass and attack modders.
Yeah.
That actually happened, especially with Three Kingdoms. A Chinese modder to make women more prettier, because the women kind of had, androgynous-looking ugly women. There was a mod that improved the quality of the female art so that they looked, actually attractive.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that happened so long ago.
Then one of the uptight fucking Creative Assembly administrators or moderators basically went over and banned the mod, and it started attacking the modder. There was a massive community outlash against it, and basically, I'm like, what the hell? Like, you're now singling out these mods, but the attractive male mod is okay, but the female one wasn't. Like,
the reason they were pointing that out again is because she was a woman.
She was a woman, and she felt like it was making her feel less pretty. And it's one of those things where it's like,
she's probably an ugly woman, sure.
Yeah, she is. I've seen pictures. Sorry to report. I'm sorry to report. Ugly in the soul as well. But the most important part is personality. And the personality of that woman is rancid. Absolutely rancid. Putrid.
And a lot of Creative Assembly fanboys decided to defend all this behavior, and look where Creative Assembly is now.
Actually, in this case, they were overshadowed by the general community. They were actually basically pushed out. You are right.
Which is a good thing.
The biggest problem is with Creative Assembly in certain studios is they will try to encourage what we call a sort of a rabid fandom. Paradox forums and Creative Assembly forums usually have this problem. I don't know if they still do, but back when I was on their forums, what they would do is they'd actively lash out and single out basically anyone who would criticize things, and basically like crucify them with like massive posts, basically like berating them, people like lashing out at them, and the moderators wouldn't do anything to stop that kind of behavior and kind of encourage that behavior. And so what happened in the Creative Assembly forums, because I remember being pretty active in there, is I would see all the time people being pushed out of wanting to interact or give feedback, because they would just get like laughed at or attacked for criticizing things like the voxel system for cities being able to be destructible, the sort of dynamic maps they had or things like that, or asking for new features, they'd be like, no, you can't, like, asking for new features, you might as well blow your brains out. Might as well
The
not-
Creative
What? You
Assembly
want-
also actively will basically, like, if you want to get access to anything, you have to suck us off, otherwise, you know, we're gonna ban you.
Yes, they,
Especially with
but the
any
content
kind
creators,
of
yes.
content creator. Yeah.
Anyone who gets access to Total War stuff usually has to toe the line. If you criticize them in any way, you get ostracized. Hence why there was a big
pointing
thing
out-
with people, you know, the sellouts is what we call them, basically, that would say whatever about, like, oh, it's the most perfect thing, and then we got Thrones of Britannia and
And the
Sagas.
criticisms they do go is in the most polite way possible and not addressing core problems.
Where it's like if you point out like every new faction is just broken, as in it's like they can just curb stomp all the other factions when they introduce them, and
Yeah.
then later
Off
pack
Chaos Dwarfs.
and then they tone it down later.
I remember the Beastman, dude. You know, the Gorbel spam with the fucking potions.
No,
Jesus
there's that.
Christ.
But the thing that I always remember is that almost every single faction now has decent like anti-monster infantry, but the early factions like the Empire and people like that, they don't have as good options for heavy infantry that could deal with monstrous units. But all the new factions definitely do, and all the new factions definitely have ways to traverse around the map, basically with the beast paths, but they just call it different things. Whether it's the underway, mechanically, it's all the same thing. But the original factions still don't have shit like that to counteract it, but they just don't want to add anything or change
Mhm.
it. But all the
Yeah.
new factions definitely do.
All
And
right.
at its core, Total War is a single player experience, and they just haven't been maintaining, nurturing, or listening to any feedback to improve that single player experience. And when modders trying to come in and fix things, as Kibbs pointed out, hey, we want attractive females, that gets destroyed. And what happens? You lose money in the long run. Well, it's also more than that, but it's definitely one of the reasons.
hmm But next up we have is Rockstar-owned modding team working on official Grand Theft Auto 5 enhanced conversion tool.
Now, this is a long-run story. I believe in this, if I recall correctly, back in 2023, they canceled a mod, but they brought on the entire modding team. And if I recall correctly, this is the end result of a lot of that work. What Rockstar understands is, hey, if we want to, especially for the new Grand Theft Auto, if we want to make sure we start printing money, we need to make sure the modders are happy and have good mod tools. So what are they going to do? Develop their own mod tools. Now, this could also be a problem, as in if the mod tools the developers develop isn't robust enough to be flexible, that could be a problem. Look at Creative Assembly. But in Rockstar's case, if they just say, hey, we're just giving you the ability to have fun with our single-player experience, that's going to bring a lot of people in and bring a lot of goodwill. And hiring the people to do this full-time and say, hey, try and make this work, that could be a potential win.
hmm
And Rockstar really can't afford a lot of negative feedback, considering Take-Two and Direct's losses over the past, 4 years have been massive, so there's pressure on this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's good. More mod tools entering AAA titles, like such as Grand Theft Auto, is a good thing. While I'm not the biggest fan of this franchise, that doesn't matter. Because if this franchise adopts mod tools, because it historically hasn't, by the way, the previous Grand Theft Auto titles like 4 and 3 and all that, their mods are very jury-rigged and there's no real big modding tools. But I think they've kind of realized that the modding scenes for these games are an untapped potential. Again, the industry needs to start accepting modding more, because it's one of those things that they've kind of been behind on for decades now. And especially the mainstream like games like Call of Duty. Does it have modding tools or map editing? No. No, it doesn't.
I think one of the biggest issues is that even then, this would probably be for the single player experience, because they wouldn't allow modding tools for the online version.
Yeah,
Because
because
that's
of how
hosted
they
server side.
monetize it too. Yeah.
I was going to say that's the bigger reason as to why they don't like modding,
Microtransactions.
is because if someone can just make a asset for free as a mod, but they wanted to do the same thing but monetize it. They
Yep.
can't do that now.
Because now it's like, oh, cool. Do I pay $15 to get the 3D model of the Porsche 914, or can I, just download a mod that adds a Porsche 914 and I can drive that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
There's
is
massive differences.
pointing
Kids,
out,
I'm actually astounded you know what a 914 is.
I'm just saying because we have one.
like,
That's-
says I
I'm
remember
not good
Take
with
Two being
cars.
very hostile towards modders, even sending lawyer goons to modder houses. I recall hearing about that as well.
See, Bucky was impressed, and then I just crushed his impression. He's like,
No, that's fine, Gibbs. I know
It's
you're
fine.
not a car person. The fact that you could label out any actual car that wasn't like a Ford Focus or something, that's good.
We used to go to car shows, and the only reason why I know is because I spent more time in that Porsche 914 traveling every goddamn state in the mainland. Oh my
Gibbs,
god!
what is a fastback?
Don't know. Don't know. Bucky
What
said-
is an Eleanor?
He's asking me questions, chat. Quick, defend me.
You can change the shovel
Next
equipment
single-player
to
topic.
Tarantino's dono.
Oh, Tarantino donates. Thank you. Donates 50 Norwegian kroners and says, "From what I have seen, Valve did some good cause. Did good because Team Fortress 2 or Team Fortress, sorry, and CS came both from mods. Yes, Valve is actually one of those companies that it does. People level criticism towards it, and some of them are quite fair. But all things considered, Valve has been a net good in the industry. Kind of always has been.
Dota, if I remember right, started as a mod.
It started as a
Dota
mod
is
for
a
Warcraft 3,
Warcraft.
and then Blizzard turned them down, and then Valve was like, they turned you down, but we'll give you money to use our source engine to make it. And then they did.
Just change the names.
Yeah, pretty
Just
much.
change
Yep.
the names.
Change the names of the characters, yeah.
I remember
Is that Sylvanas? No, it's not Sylvanas in the game.
It's just
Left
very
4
similar.
Dead. I'm pretty sure started as a Counter-Strike mod.
Yes. Left 4 Dead was a mod, if I remember right. At least I think it was. Counter-Strike was a mod. Team Fortress was a mod.
No, Team
Portal
Fortress was a
mod.
game mode
It was a game
that
mode.
became a mod.
Yeah. And then became a mod. And then you could buy it. and then
There's
it became
Team
its own
Fortress
thing.
Classic.
Yep. Team Fortress Classic originated from another franchise, if I remember right, first. And then got inherited. I think Team Fortress Origins go back to Quake, if I remember right.
It's
If
Quake,
I
yes.
don't know, say if I remember it started as a Quake map because the one with the two factories and the bridge is a
Mhm.
reference to the
Old
map
map,
that they used for the original game mode.
And that's a good map. Just like, whoa, maps. Look at them.
New Fort best map.
Jaffish, how do you feel about that? You feel fat? Like a little bit. Next up, we have Spunk Marine 2. Mod support. A message from the game director. Hello, Spunk Marines. I'm not going to stop saying that. We've been incredible. We've seen incredible community engagement since launch, and we've noticed that some players have started to create and share mods for Space Marine 2. We wanted to make a game that was moddable from the start. This is why our game pack files are not encrypted, for example. It's always a pleasure for me as a developer to see what our community can create. Mods are great, and they will no doubt contribute to the game's longevity. So, even Space Marine 2, while I have my criticisms towards that game, they are pretty open-minded, even though they need to really get rid of that kill animation stuff so that we can have an uninterrupted gameplay loop, Alright, continue. Fuzzy, this is yours. Take it away.
Now, there's another example of sort of showing how games that do financially successful that support modding from the very beginning are printing money. Now, granted, Space Marine is not solely a single-player game. It's also more. Its second most popular mode is co-op, which honestly got a bit more focus than the campaign, and the multiplayer is just a fun add-on. Which is honestly an interesting observation. They focused a lot, probably more on the co-op than anything else, and that, hey, you two have that co-op aspect and single-player aspect than the multiplayer aspect, which is just a decent arena shooter. And they allowed modding for all this. And what's Saber Interactive making? Money.
I was gonna say, you can just read the bold on that article. The bold text.
They will still be allowed in private operation lobbies this time.
And they're gonna release mod tools.
Good.
So basically, you can't use mods when you're playing on a public server, but you can in private.
That makes sense, because mods might alter or change hitboxes. possible.
Also, server stability is literally the reason that they're saying they're cutting off public access.
That's more than fair. Halo did the same thing with, like, if you want to play multiplayer competitively, you need to have it off.
You need to, yeah.
That's fair. I don't mind that.
But this
That's
this is a good general
compromise.
trend of a lot of companies, especially single player games, co-op games, embracing modding and realizing, hey, people like this stuff. People
Mhm.
like to just have fun with the game. Let's enhance that fun factor to give us a more competitive edge or worthwhile value.
The best part of this is just merely the continuation of PC versus Mac. I just love that. It's all about customization versus standardization. And the reality is personalization is always superior to standardization, isn't it, chat? Individuality takes precedence.
But enough, there was a point where Mac looked like they just might attempt to bust into gaming, and no. That it's been years since they last tried. I know it was an Apple gaming service they've tried for a bit, and it just died off quite quickly.
They're only basically used as standardized working computers. That's all they are now. It's over for them. I just remember because in high school I got into many arguments about that, and I just like rubbing that in because it makes me feel smart.
Every person I met that was an
What
Apple
about the Linux
fanboy
bros?
was annoying.
The who?
Philip Linux
Exactly.
Bros.
There, moving on.
Like,
Exactly.
software or programs, and it's like, that's nice. You do that every single time.
All right, next up we
I have
have
to do
is
command prompt to do anything.
an interesting little company. This one, chat, you might recognize his name, is called Virtuous Games. Now here is a track record of some of the games they've worked on.
Madagascar. No.
Madagascar Cards.
Cards.
Yeah, get it right.
At least
They
it's
could
not
have
the
done
bad
Madagascar.
platforming one.
They could
Heavy
have
Rain.
Madagascar.
They have a very wide history of working on a lot of things, like all over the place, like
Mind
fucking,
over mutant.
like fucking reading XCOM, like fucking Fable Anniversary. Now, bear in mind that they're not the primary developers of these games. Rather, they are either supporting or porting. Like that seems to be what they're most known for. But they have a big.
Yeah,
track record.
they've worked on a lot though. That's the important thing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Now they're also in charge, or they're working with Konami on the upcoming Metal Gear Solid 4 Snake Eater game. I'm not sure if they're just working on it because they're in charge of the porting to PC team, because Konami and Japanese companies have a history of not really making games for PC and kind of just having porting companies do the work for them. So that could be their involvement. But it's interesting because they also were involved with another game, weren't they, Bucky?
Yeah,
What
I
game
mean
was
they're
it?
the ones who helped develop the remaster of Oblivion.
Yeah, they did. They're actually credited on their store page. So if we go to Oblivion Remaster, we'll find that this same studio is actually credited right here, Virtuos. They actually had a hand in developing Oblivion. So they actually have a lot of on-team experience. Now, granted, a lot of the work they're usually inheriting, and it seems like, again, they're going to be kind of like working alongside their support team. But it's an interesting company to follow because they have a very, very rich history. Like, it's kind of all over the board, this studio, right? Like, they worked on some, movie adaptation games. Like, just some really random stuff, like learning with Leapfrog.
Thunderball Square Prince.
Mm-hmm. I think this
Lamb
is one of
Tree.
those like what 343 or Halo Studios should have been before they got a hold of the Halo franchise.
Have some experience under their belts, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe have some actual dedicated, team members and not just contract.
Yeah. Because this is like it's not just one style and genre, it's like all over the fucking place.
Yeah, you get like fucking what's going to be a stealth focused game with Metal Gear Solid, fucking racing games, action games like
Lord of the
Batman,
Rings card
yeah,
game.
like turn-based shit with XCOM.
Now,
Mhm.
Virtuous is a bit more involved with a lot more than just games. They have involvement with movies, TV shows, comics, and tech. They're kind of little handymen, aren't they? All over the place.
Gregor's just like
little
Generator Rex had a fucking video game since when?
Wait, Generator Rex? What the fuck is that?
Up right there on the right. I mean on the left side, right there.
There might be
Agent
a
of
reason.
Providence, 2011. Wow.
360, PS3, Wii, 3DS, and DS.
There you go, kids. We
It's
found
one of
another game
those
that Gregors
games.
might want you to play.
All right, next
I don't know
fun.
about
Let's
that.
go.
Wait, is this a beat 'em up?
No idea.
It looks like a beat 'em up.
It's not very long, apparently. Yeah, it's a God of War style game, and it's about 2.5 hours long.
One of those real quick pump and dumps, huh? Now, granted, this is in an interesting era. This came out on October 25th, 2011. Why is that interesting, you ask? Well, look at the amount of systems it came out for. Xbox 360 and PS3 and Wii. Now, what I want to point out real quickly here is the PS3 and the Xbox 360 ones are going to be similar, but they actually need to make it very different for Wii because those are different systems. And they made it for 3DS and DS, two also dynamically different systems, which means probably in actuality, we have 1, 2, 3/4-ish different games.
That's
of one
probably
game.
why it's so short.
Because
Raffle
they're...
donates 5 Bickering Bunch memberships.
Thank you for the gifted memberships. Very
That
generous,
makes
baby.
sense.
Hey,
Weekly.
And good job on making the weekly chat bros. You're ahead of schedule. Chat bros strong together, I guess.
And we're now at the next tier for the bounty.
The bounty has now been upgraded, chat. Congratulations. What will Chatfish win?
Congratulations.
What will they win? Nothing?
Um,
Nothing?
hug,
The silence.
love.
There were the
Affection.
Chatfish and STL and animated Chatfish.
Ooh, it's getting up there, chat bros. They have their fingers in a lot of pies. They do. They do. But yeah, the reason why I refer to this era is because this era is interesting if you go back to PS2 and like before, because all these games are kind of like, if you see them for multiple platforms, usually they were like 4 or 5 different games. Harry Potter, like for example, the Chamber of Secrets game, like one of the OG games, had I think 4 or was it 5 or was it 6? I don't remember. Like different games or something. It was
It
ridiculous.
had a lot.
It was like the same game, but they had 5 or 6
I
different
remember having
studios
a
make
Game Boy Color
different
one.
games, and they're all drastically different from each other, mechanically and systematically. It's just a really interesting era in game development. That doesn't
Kyle
happen
donates
anymore.
1 membership.
He's trying to snipe it.
Thank you for the gift of membership. Very generous. You failed to snipe it. Only bulk orders will get it. That's how it works, Chad. Like,
Who are they trying?
Foxnix.
They're going for Foxquicks. Yeah.
Don't worry. The end of the month's coming.
The end of the bucket. That's where the buckfishes go. It's the end. Now don't forget, you can double dip in the fishing stream still. That's allowed until Sunday. You might as well double dip and get it as far as you possibly can. Because
Also,
that
don't
fund also
forget-
ends when I beat your Gestalt. Fun.
Don't forget, chat, that you have until Sunday if you want to get on the midnight walk.
Yes, Midnight Walk thumbnail is available for slots. But, moving on.
Yeah.
We have another thing called Sunderfolk. Now what, pray tell, is Sunderfolk?
So, it's a game I just saw. That I saw a bit of. It's a tactical, turn-based RPG
Okay.
Mhm.
Very unique looking.
that you play on your phone.
What?
Nice.
What?
But it's on,
The Steam page.
it's on
Yes,
Steam.
but you control everything with your phone.
What?
What?
What the fuck? That is weird. Okay.
Why would you?
So is this like one of those?
Wii U!
It's basically
streaming
those
where
like party
people from-
games, like
Okay.
Jackbox and stuff, but it's a RPG, a turn-based tactics RPG.
Jackbox turn-based RPG.
This seems
Yeah.
There's
weird.
only one
And
person
you
who
can
owns
play
the game.
online. Yeah, and
Yeah, so
everyone
one
just
person
uses
owns
you have
it
to
and everyone else
download an
plays it
app,
online, yeah.
which people have been pointing out. So if there's something wrong with the app, you can't play the game
Yeah,
at
that's-
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, oh my god, that,
I almost guarantee you it's not available on Apple.
oh my, oh my god, that's mean but funny. But that means that all this art, all this music, and all these visuals, and all this work, and all this game development is going to die when they pull support for that app one day.
And
That's
you'll never be able to play it even if
Kids,
you
you're,
don't.
you're funny. Thinking that it'll take that long. You guys have phones, don't you?
Don't forget if you like have to use data to play, like like there's all kinds of issues with this
okay. We
strategy.
gotta see.
Go,
Where's
go
the
bring up
discussions?
Diablo Immortal. Go grab Diablo Immortal so,
So-
we can go look at it.
Before we must see.
The party game idea works for everyone because like it's everyone around a couch on a phone that's like quick matches. Yeah, this is you'd have to sit down for hours on your phone playing this game.
Hold on, kids, click on Steam Deck support. I don't know what that question is. No, the question is Steam Deck support.
Do you expect this will work on Steam Deck? Would love to see the portability to take the game where my friends and I are. Like other name is Soylent Green. God help me.
Now you can play it online, so it is possible to do Steam remote play.
Yeah, but kids, now go grab Diablo Immortal from Steam. I want to see.
Diablo Immortal's on Steam now. I don't think
Oh,
it is.
look, it's not there. I wonder why.
Yeah, it's only on your phone.
So the game, so basically,
Wait, was
you
it
use
on Steam for a little bit?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember it ever being on Steam.
It
So
it
yeah,
was a
you
shit
download the game,
that died.
you have the
immediately.
game rendered on your thing, and then you control. You don't use a mouse. You don't use a control. You use your phone and the app to control everything in game. And it's 2 players minimum.
So what's probably going to happen is someone's going to mod this so that you don't have to do that or something, I would assume. APKs, most APKs get archived. Yeah, but like the big thing I have issue with this is that this is like a gimmick that is quaint, but it shouldn't be like, okay, this is a feature the game can do. You can play with your phones, so that way, you know, if they don't have the console or whatever, or the game, and you're all sitting around together and you can play together as an option, you know, and then you can just play the game normally otherwise.
Also,
Like-
check the price.
$50. That's a bit steep. I feel like a game like this should be like
A bit?
20,
A bit steep, kid?
maybe 10, maybe
Like-
5.
Now, as far as I'm
maybe
aware,
5.
the app is a free app you have to download, but I mean, maybe they'll end up charging it for it. Who knows?
I don't know. Like
Maybe
the
it'll have-
amount of
maybe it'll have
reviews it's
in-app
got.
features
Now,
of
granted,
pay
it
for
launched
what you don't
few-
get
Oh
ads.
no! You know what happened to this game? Well, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's ever going to be big to begin with, but April 23rd. Look, when did fucking Oblivion release? April 22nd.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
think this game shared any audience. I'll be honest, kids. I
I'll
don't
tell
think
you.
this
I'm
game's
going to
gonna
tell you
go
this right
anywhere.
away. This it does, because there's always somebody, right? There's like, oh, I could spend $50 and buy Oblivion remaster, or I can spend $50 on this.
I'm not gonna lie.
My-
I choose Oblivion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Concern
Choose
is that
Oblivion.
this isn't a potential trend where games are going to try to make
Have
like
apps.
keep up with your
No,
phone.
no, it won't be. It's not going to be a potential trend because you know why? It's been ongoing since 2011. I remember when I forget, one of my friends or was it 2012? Yeah, I remember being like, we were doing something like somewhere with a group of friends, and I was with my GF at the time, and like somebody suggested we play a game that was like this. And I remember it was such a hassle. It was like, Jesus Christ. It was
Yeah,
like some
that's-
spaceship game too. That was the weird part.
Adoman says Mike Warren, former Blizz president, controls this company, and I'm not too impressed with this stuff.
Doman! Welcome to stream. You're a little fanboy.
Moraheim. Oh, that guy. That was one of the original. He was one of the, along with Anaheim, those two made Blizzard, so not a very good look. Now, from what I remember, as soon as Anaheim left, he was not the best leader. He is not leadership material, so this is not surprising. He was more of a
Support.
engineering coder person. He was an engineering coder person. He was good at that, but not good at leading a business or controlling a bunch of high testosterone men getting into shout fights.
What are you talking
I'm
about?
not
dude?
even joking on that. That was old Blizzard. They were literally getting into shout fights and borderline fist fights over mechanics.
Hey, Gibbs, look, it's similar to Wasteland 3.
Yeah. Same game, really.
I don't
And
really-
Fantasy Grounds, which is the
nothing-
pen and paper system.
Whatever. All right, moving on. Next up we have is, what's this? Night Dive's remaster of System Shock 2? The peak of immersive Sims finally has a release date? Explain, Hans.
Yep. January 26th.
That's it.
Soon, relatively speaking, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So next year.
Is there anything new in this trailer here?
No, sorry, 25. I am dyslexic. I misread that.
Your time is running out.
But I don't want my time to run out. Oops.
Where we grow our future. Your weapons fail.
I think they just took the trailer from the game and just left it here.
Yes, this is that.
I kind of wish they did like a remake, like they did with the System Shock 1.
How do you top perfection? According to this?
I don't know if I would like that.
I do. You know why I do? Because they did a good job with System Shock 1.
The thing is, System Shock 2 is actually playable, though. System Shock 1, that was just special.
Be careful, you're gonna get the Daggerfall and Morrowind audience all over your body soon. Like, no!
Kips, I play Morrowind.
Daggerfall audience doesn't play Daggerfall, they play Daggerfall Unity.
See, I always thought that thing he was holding wasn't a shotgun, I thought it was a stick. I thought it was a
I mean,
stick.
shotguns are boomsticks.
It just looked like a metal bar.
You know why they stand like that, Kiblo?
Jefferson, how do you feel about video games? Like,
You didn't answer me. You
not
know
talking
why you
video
stand like
Games are a
that?
mistake.
It's because System Shock 2 was made in the Dark Engine, and those are thief NPCs.
Oh no.
It's a modified version of or the original one was a modified version of the Thief engine because they were being developed at the same time.
Alright, that's interesting. I wonder what Night Dive's gonna do. What? Hold on. We've also got achievement support, blasphemy to some, incredibly great news for some. Don't care about achievements, which is all I need to say. Who really just wants to put an easy run thing? Frozen SS2, I can fire up and play on my TV, but the Mad Lads at Night Dive have also gone and resurrected the original game's cooperative mode, meaning you can play through the game with a pal on any other platform. It's gonna have multiplayer chat. I don't have friends. Damn, poor guy who wrote this article. So you'll have to figure out how that works for yourself. Oh no.
The thing is,
No.
you could do co-op in the original, but there was certain sections where you just kind of had to know only the host could go forward. Like the part that Kibbs and I got stuck at, and then Kibbs is like, well, co-op run dies. That was one section where the host had to go forward on their own because the co-op person, like if they tried to, it would just bork the game.
Yeah, because they haven't updated the Steam store page with that information that they've got the multiplayer working yet. Because I remember, because I was when I looked at it first, because I already bought it, because I'm a kid. But the big thing is that I was like, I know, but I didn't see multiplayer, and I was like, oh, the remaster is actually reasonably priced. Only $30, and it's on a discount for 10% off for $27. For basically a classic.
Notice when the discount ends. Stop fucking.
Yeah,
there. Notice when it ends. June 26th.
Yep, the day comes out. That's really interesting. Actually,
go back.
Well,
or people can explore the Rickenbacker and the Von Braun.
So Dragonclaw says, why do it half-assed and not make it a full remake with modern graphics? See, I immediately had a violent reaction to what you said, but then I wasn't thinking about it. Because you said modern graphics, I'm like, photorealism? I fucking hate games that do photorealism. I want stylism more, because stylism ages so much better and looks better 9 times out of 10. But then I realized that, because the big thing is System Shock. Oh, go ahead. What's up?
Chat, if you want to question why photorealism isn't the way to go, just look at the Oblivion remake and some of the races.
But it's stylistic. Oh, yeah. But so, look at this. This is the remake of System Shock 1, by the way. They actually did low-res pixel art for the textures. And it actually looks very good visually.
Yeah.
I really like the visual design of the remake.
The visuals and the gameplay was a lot of fun.
I like this remake quite a bit. I couldn't beat it because I got lost in a puzzle and I did something out of sequence. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I spent like a whole stream trying to figure it out.
I mean, you can end the game pretty early. Just hit the button to fire the laser.
Yeah, and kill yourself. Yeah, and kill yourself.
Just blow up Earth.
You get an ending, not a good one.
But System Shock is really good. The remake, anyways.
I couldn't do the fucking chess puzzle because it was in a weird fucking formation.
Well, the AI was hard. It was specifically programmed to be a high-end chess playing.
Oh, that one? I was able to get it, but
No,
it-
no. You're talking about the actual puzzle one that you can do within time limit. Mine was two, 9 chess pieces in 2 of the corners that didn't make any sense.
all of them do. It is physically possible to win every iteration.
Yeah.
It's not random. It's just
But
you
it-
have to.
It
No
was just like,
chess.
what the fuck am I doing here?
But yes, next up we have is our own stream.
Let's watch that.
Look, Chad, it's us. Where? The
That was
Pikachu
like-
face at themselves.
An hour ago, I think.
Bucky was talking at that point. He's like,
That was fuzzy.
All right, chat. Now Chad had one thing they wanted to bring up. What was it that Blake sent you? You put in chat.
It's a 40-minute video
We'll skim it.
going over
We'll skim-
many upcoming games.
Oh, is there anything of interest in there or nay?
I glanced through it and nothing jumped out at me. Okay, I would say 40 minutes. It starts 15 minutes in, so.
Is there any like a?
If there's nothing
What's
of
it
interest in it. Okay, well, Blake, was there something in there you want us to don't be sad about it. Was there something in there you wanted us to talk about or take a look at?
I skimmed it, Blake. Nothing jumped out to me, but I might have missed something.
Oh my god, Blake. The game I sent you before. He sent you before. You better be talking to you, not me.
He better be, because the last thing he sent me was Turok. Before that, and that was a month ago.
We have a new fan art from Tuna. Tuna's produced more fan art. Jesus Christ, he won't stop. This guy just is on a roll. I think it's a part 2. Oh my god, that's quite demonic. Alright, well, I guess we'll look at the first piece of fan art he did. For context, this is the first fan art. Okay, there's a lot to take in. Artemis will recognize several things, and because he's responsible for them. But
What do you mean?
what do you mean?
Okay.
Also, what did you say the dust particles were?
Fire.
So
I
Tuna
said it's
messaged
a
me
fire off screen.
and said that you were right.
I knew I was right.
I see pickles. I see your game. I see your programmer socks, kid.
What? You intentionally stumbled there to make you say that. I see your
I posted this in Blake one
The chocolate
specifically
milk.
from that.
Let's see the toys. I don't know what the toys are.
About plug.
Oh, the butt plug. Okay, yeah, kids does have that.
That doesn't exist, chat. That's a lie. Liars.
You have the Brazilian in a box. Do not free him.
Yep.
Do
Bino.
not touch.
Bino's in that box,
Yeah.
by the way. That's you. You're in this fan art, Bino. Look.
It's slapped with the Brazil flag. It has to be you, Bino.
Pretty much. He just doesn't want to talk about it.
Yep.
No, I have other
It
things
could be India.
bothering me right now.
What does that say under the wagon? Like I read about the wagon label.
Pussy wagon.
Oh, okay.
You can see
Yeah,
Aerith's
kid.
tail over there. And he got the Aerith tail note right. It's white tipped.
Yeah.
I know. Many
Well,
artists always forget that.
What do you mean? Always forget you don't.
I said mini. I
even
didn't say
like-
you. I was talking about India.
I forget about it. I don't have.
Oh
Like,
my god,
your
see?
tail art.
You got defensive because you were guilty.
Because you don't tell people.
You
like,
know
"Oh, I
that
have this head cannon."
We have
I
we
had
have
to
the
say that.
original art, by the way. It's just artists don't reference things.
Have you told your the model mommy, that you have a white tip tail?
Probably not.
Did tell her that Aerith doesn't have 2 sets of ears.
She was very upset
That's
about
true.
that.
Currently, Aerith does only have 1 set of ears.
Yep, true. She's currently deaf. Just what? Next piece of fan art, which is I think a part 2 of this, is basically where the fire is. It's quite horrifying. The chatfish are being murdered.
It's been
Weird cheek.
Viva la
Viva
reproduction.
Viva the
Revolution.
with a C, yeah. Maybe the French. Dead chatfish over there. A little bite mark on that. This is really good.
As an impaled one. On a pencil.
I'm impressed by how good this is, honestly.
Several impaled ones on pencils.
I'm trying to figure out, but why though?
Why is there question marks on the bucket with the fire?
Because he probably was going to write something there, but didn't remember to do it.
I like how pencils are the #1 weapon used on the battlefield here.
I choose to believe the fire.
It's a random axe and pitchfork.
I really enjoy the impalement. That's in the left.
I like how the pencil's broken on its tip.
It's horror.
It's fucking.
Why do you think that one
Why that-
chatfish is black? It wasn't because of the fire, because of the graphite.
Stratum. Stratum.
Well, look at the lips, Gibbs.
Why are they pink? Why are they?
Because there's nothing. There's nothing. Never mind.
Don't worry about it.
No.
Why point something out like that?
That's very good, though. Very good. That's why I basically started yelling at Tuna to open up a PayPal so I can start turning him into my little art slave. And they're DMing me not to tell me no, right? Yes. Today is part 3 is all I got from Tuna right now. Tuna,
The
are you
pencil is
lurking in
lighter than
chat?
the sword.
Tuna has yet to reveal themselves in chat. We don't know which chatfish it is. Tuna is elusive. They'll pop into VC
I bet you I could
sometimes.
figure it out.
Oh. The stalking of Tuna begins. The hunt for the Tuna.
I'm gonna
Okay.
post all of the games.
Okay. I think Justin puts his little detective hat. Yeah,
That
go hunt.
Blake is adamant needs to be looked at.
Alright, well, let's see what they are. Gonna cover my screen. While I transition to cover the next picture. Boop, 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 little chatfish.
They're all Steam
little
store
chatfish.
pages.
That's a lot of fucking games. Bombshell Blitz. Weeb! Steam
It's
dolls.
Blake.
Labyrinth of the Demon King. That looks kind of depressing. Rogue Mansion. That looks kind of like Resident Evil a little bit. And Motor Slice. Is that it?
That's all he sent me.
Okay, nice. If Chatfish have anything else, let us know by posting in the discussions. Alright, let's move through these, and then, once we move through these, we will then raid into the pen and paper if there's nothing else. Alright, the first game we have to look at is called Bombshell Blitz. It's an explosive twin-stick tank shooter with minor roguelite elements. Upgrade your tank and ace your combat exams to impress your cute supervisors with the highest score you can. Impress them and breed them. No, I'm kidding, it doesn't say that. Say, what the fuck? Oh my
I'm gonna
God.
say it's turnip chips.
That'd be funny. It looks alright. Go, go, hold on to that objective. Turn on the music so you can hear it. The tanks are quite cute. Low res art style, so it'll run on pretty much anything. Tit bounce, nice. Fucking AC-130s, alright, points for that. It's a score attack game. Developed by Top Hat Studios. So this is just a bunch of games that they're pumping out? Top Hat Studios might be an up-and-coming company. Top
They're
Hat
a
Studios
publisher.
Incorporated is a publisher, and all the titles were their games. Up-and-coming. They've got
Yeah,
a
basically like they did
slew
a
of titles.
announcement. I
coming in.
think they're a newer group that just popped up.
So it's a new AA on the rise, potentially. With their cover art is very anime. Odds of them being cringe or variable.
You know, that art style, Kibbs, is not too far off from the coffin of Andy and Lele.
It is.
Is it them? No.
No. Well, it could be. Let me rephrase that. It very well could be them. Just the art style looks relatively close.
A Metroidvania game, spooky game. Oh. But he
Damn.
plays what, a murdering psychopath? Okay, maybe not. There's a zombie there.
It can be both.
Maybe you're just a murderer and this is how you see the world.
Killing a hazmat guy? Damn, I thought hazmat guys were really good at combat.
His daggers remind me of the ones Riddick has.
Gibbs, don't forget there was also a War Thunder have cornered the market on leaking of secret files by community. I didn't forget that. I just don't see how that's relevant to our conversation. Thank you for the... Guys, entertainment is evil, yes.
I am not dying today. I need to survive.
I just don't see this being your cup of tea. So I'm very curious as to why you posted this.
So that way you would play it, so he could see if it's his cup of tea.
We've got a Japanese game. It's got horror vibes, PS1 vibes.
I can't wait for
It's
the
that
loud jump
camera
scare noise.
game, whatever it's called.
Fatal Frame.
It's yeah, definitely PS1 era graphics.
That could be interesting.
You know what's funny, kids?
I don't know if I could play this. It's kind of spooky. But
Why is it so loud?
Because he turned up the volume.
I did because I was trying to hear what he said, but then I realized it was Japanese. But then I realized it was
So you just left it on loud.
Yes.
Here's an issue, Kibbs. I bet you that if it's on PC, people could just turn off the grain filter and see how actually high res those skeletons are.
I mean, I think their things are textured low poly. The filter, I think, could probably go. I think it's trying to emulate like a TV effect.
Probably.
What's funny is
just
all
looking
the
at the
screenshots
models-
are cropped as if it's in an old school monitor slash TV.
To be fair, that is probably the look they want to go for.
I will say that this has way more polygons than a PlayStation 1 game, but it
Oh yeah,
is textured
it's
to emulate it.
it's emulating it. Yeah.
Even the color palette's trying to emulate too, with the amount of reduced colors. That could be interesting. Oh, demo? I don't really know if I'm bold enough for that. But next up we
Wish
have,
listing.
keep an eye on it. We have another game called
Yeah, chat,
Rogue
make 'em play it.
Mansion. Now, this right off the bat is giving PS2 graphics vibes, but not only that, it reminds me immediately of Resident Evil. Like just the
I believe he
picture.
did refer to it as a Resident Evil clone.
This could be interesting if it's like a multiplayer Resident Evil game. Yeah, that very much.
That mansion is 100% Resident Evil mansion.
Yep, they're going for a PS2 flair.
The original Resident Evil specifically.
So we know that Kibbs won't be able to beat this game.
This one's got co-op, see? And other people do it.
Well, he might be able to beat this game.
I can have other people.
Hold
Is
on,
it really
hold on,
him
hold-
beating it if someone else does it?
Hold
for
on.
him?
Other people will beat the game for him.
Yeah.
That could be interesting, actually. So this publisher just showed up out of the blue, at least in my radar, until today.
I've never heard of them until now.
But they got a lot of very bold and interesting ideas under their umbrella that they picked up.
The Dark Souls of Resident Evil.
Is that what it said when those wait?
No,
What?
that's just what he's saying.
Oh my god.
I think it's interesting that we have these studios coming up, but I don't.
Hey, similar to Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space.
Yeah.
And then we have another game called Motor Slice, a parkour. Okay, so it's that one game from fucking
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's
Mirror's
Edge that EA will never make another game of. I had a whole thing to talk about with those guys. It even has the same like aesthetic with the sharp colors.
Sure.
Third person, so it's already
It's already different.
it is different, but it's the same like aesthetic, as in like sharp colors.
It's
and then
clearly
grays.
inspired by, especially even with like, yeah, it's heavily
Mega
inspired.
structures you climb over.
Why is she called Chainsaw Girl then?
Blake says they're kind of old publisher.
Just chainsaw. Like...
They might be. They haven't seen them.
Okay. I
Yeah.
see.
Okay. So you got the combat system. Climb the tire from the front. Oh.
That's okay.
Alright. The parkour
Robert
system
would like the
seems like
Wrigley.
it's pretty polished, all things considered. Yeah, they've got some
The
games. under
chainsaw
belt that
seems
look
out of
pretty-
out of the blue.
It is. It's just like, hey, you have a chainsword. I mean, to be fair, unlike Warhammer, this chainsword actually, has mechanics. So,
It's because she uses it.
It also looks a bit more. It looks actually usable as a chainsaw. As
I
it
mean, I
would
still
work,
think it'd
unlike
be
Warhammer.
goofy as a weapon, but
I didn't
It would
see
be.
the chainsaw when she introduced her as Chainsaw Girl. I'm so sorry.
that's because he's blind.
He is.
Oh, yeah.
It was literally like the center of the screen.
There's a couple games
Yes,
in
it
here that
was.
interest me.
He was sent to.
These three interest me. These two aren't particularly my cup of tea. Metroidvanias don't really grab me. Never really been big on them.
They're producing, quite a bit of games that aren't even none of them are out yet.
Adventure Kids. I see Paper Animal Adventure. What is that? Actually,
Oh God. Looks
Alyssa,
goofy. That looked goofy. Which one did you want to look at?
don't worry
Paper
about it.
Animal Adventure.
You wanted to look at Dungeon Gals.
Okay, this is for Bond. Gotcha.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I just wanted you to play something that was like garbage.
Oh, thanks.
What was that regular line?
You don't know if it's garbage.
Kids.
Give developers a chance. Come on. There's no hope for humanity, Kip.
Silly Poly Beast.
This one immediately catches my eye because it just looks goofy.
I
Oh
see
my God,
Frenchmen.
it is goofy. What the fuck? It straight up is like old CG, like for the videos. Like it just looks uncanny. Yep, it is that. It's going for an old school vibe. Maybe not for me, but like that's just funny.
Hey,
Huh.
Mr. Dubois. Look, it's puzzles.
People joked about developers becoming nostalgic for old PS1 models.
That's been a
Oh,
trend
yeah.
for years now, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
There's
but
a
I'm just
lot
saying
more I follow on Twitter that do this.
That was the joke.
But the CG is what got my eyes because it's so low poly. It's because the computers couldn't handle higher models back then.
I think was it Xander Renegade Angel
Oh,
would
you're
probably
so
be a better
Yeah,
CGI.
Renegade Angel. Yeah.
Probably.
Look at them.
Reuse
They look
half
so
their animation.
Play-Doh. I love how Play-Doh they look. Oh my God. Like the fucking guy on the right smile just with the fucking mustache. And this guy over here with his mouth agape. No, fucking. Oh my God. Was it always a
Explain
gape?
another one reboot.
It's a reboot, says Blake.
Oh, it's a reboot? Okay. Of an old
No.
game.
No, reboot as in the show reboot.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I think
There's a
Schooler should
show
shut the
called
fuck up.
Reboot.
Schooler should shut the fuck up.
I'm literally explaining it.
What's reboot?
I
When you
remember
go-
that.
when you
I
go
have a
look
feeling
at
you
it,
don't
it
know, and I feel like Blake knows what he's
It
talking
looks
about.
like fucking ass.
Gibbs, click on the developer.
Reboot the show from the 90s, says Blake.
Kill play.
Gibbs, click on the developer. What other games did they do?
Casper Crows. Nothing.
Only Alyssa.
Oh, they did an Alyssa before.
Yes, okay. Because I was going to say their style looked familiar, so I was curious. This is the dev.
Oh, do you know this game?
It's literally a Resident Evil inspired game.
Yeah, I can see that with the textures.
Why do I like this better than the other one?
I think it's because it's got a little bit more of a uniform style. That and the fact that I will say that because they have a filter on that kind of makes it low res, it looks more uniform.
I don't know if because I think this one has limited saves, but you can like buy save stuff, and there's
What?
limited money in the game. In Alyssa,
In the game, not outside. I assume, right?
I
She's a
posted,
save pack. What the fuck?
I post images of Reboot.
Hold on. Now this is what Bucky wanted to look at.
Once upon a time, there was a small.
Make sure it doesn't say hentai.
Turn it up.
Where every
All right. Now, Bon, I know you're gonna watch this, so this is your game. Here you go.
until the king suddenly disappeared.
Oh!
Now it's up to you.
Are you in
to help
Australia?
Keith and his friends find Sir
Yes, Boo.
Barrington.
Oh my god, it is a girl game.
Explore an ever-changing board game-sized world where each playthrough is different. Use your abilities strategically.
Looks no different than
to
Paper
help
Mario
find
or
and
Toon
defeat
Link.
foes.
I think that's the vibe they're going for, yeah.
Meet cute characters and relax with your friends at the campfire. Try your hand at cooking by combining ingredients in the cook pot to create new dishes for you and your team.
Very Paper Mario when it comes to sprites.
Equip and upgrade skills suited to a character's role and customize your playstyle.
Bomberman?
Find stickers that grant passive abilities. If you get lucky, you can even find more powerful holographic ones.
Alright.
Thank you for telling me they were
Compete against other
holographic
players
games.
in tournaments to stake your claim on the online leaderboard.
Congratulations!
Complete various challenges throughout to unlock achievements and secrets. Defeat mean bosses and fight against their stronger
Holy shit, go back.
counterparts. Start a rewind run.
Is that
Look
thing?
at that. Yeah, that thing. Go back when it first dropped, like a couple seconds.
Mean
Look at it, kids.
bosses
What does that remind you of?
Fuck, I don't. Something from
Raindrop.
Mario.
It's from Mario Sunshine.
It's upside down, Kibbs. It's from Mario Sunshine.
Oh my god, it is. It's the little flower monster face.
It's PD Piranha.
Yeah, it's
fighting
That's
against
so-
Piranha
their
playing from
stronger
fucking
counterparts
Mario.
when you start a rewind run.
Nintendo gets out the lawyers.
You can even add your own
Kills and
dinos.
D-game. Okay. Is it Yoshi?
Wishlist Paper Animal RPG now on.
That font, though.
Mhm.
That's
That
just
name.
And get notified when the game
Pete the
releases.
Piranha says.
Beat the
Perfect.
Jesus Christ, Chapros. Chapros are wise.
Well, that was a thing.
Alright,
At least it was
what-
short.
At least it was. Damn. Oh my god.
That's Reboot.
Yeah, reboot.
I
Their
recognize.
computer programs in the computer, and they get
Yeah, to say I
put in the
recognize
games.
these
This
models,
reminds
but
me-
I don't remember anything about the show.
There was this one show that had similar models like this, where it was about
Mhm.
4 planets, and each planet had a different race on it. One was rock, one was fire, one was like plants or whatever, or I can't remember.
Mhm.
And they were fleeing from this evil thing that ate plants. You remember that? Does anyone remember that?
No.
Transformers the movie.
No, it's like the planets have giant engines, and they turn on the engines, and then they're fighting a war against this race of planet eaters. It was
No.
weird.
I don't get any of this.
And then the
Chris.
lava planet, like people sacrificed themselves and got devoured or something. I don't remember. Like the planet eaters, like boom, 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 and then they like didn't get devoured and like were actually alive, but they weren't.
Well, let's see if any of the special people in chat will know.
Chat.
There's 2 things I remember from the reboot show.
It was called like Shadow something or something.
Gibbs, when you describe that, this GIF is my reaction.
Oh.
Cool.
Yeah, no, chat. You guys know what it is, chat.
Scroll down further.
I'm scared.
Scroll down further.
It's because Bucky put it there. Okay, now I gotta look this up. Shadow CG movie. Fuck.
So-
He just starts describing it. Check Google. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Shadow CGI
No, I don't.
The 2 things
TV show.
I remember from reboot is the one episode where the
Planets
main villain, who's a
eat-
virus, got access to paint
Rock
and started messing
Ice
with the textures of the
Planet.
world.
I found it! Shadow Raiders! That was a fucking trip.
Shadow Raiders?
Now
Yes.
show the fucking class.
Alright, hold on. I'm gonna Google it. Shadow Raiders. It was a fucking... It was
Oh,
weird.
On Rumble, Piggy Small says War Planet Shadow Raiders.
There's the entire fucking series on YouTube. Oh my god, we can't show that. Opening, there we go. Oh my god, fucking...
Well, chat, I guess we know when we're going to be watching something, what Kibbs is going to be...
I don't know about watching this, okay? But, like, this is the show I remember. Like, it was called Shadow Raiders, and I have, like, the box set somewhere. And I remember being, like, gifted this as a kid and being like, this is weird. Yeah, there's Rock Band. And there's the Fire Planet. And the Fire People. And they're all at war with each other. And then it turns out that that Planet Eater thing comes and sucks them in. And there's like this massive interstellar war. And it's weirdly fucking
and then the fire
violent.
people attack.
There's like the shadow like invaders or whatever. It's so fucking weird. It's incredibly
I'm getting
violent.
I'm getting roughneck vibes from this.
Bionicle.
Oh yeah, the lizard people. She had big tits. Yeah, it was weird.
They have the same armor that the people from Spy Kids 3D has.
It's so fucking weird.
Hey, look, I wish I was in Dixie.
That's
Hey,
Bucky's
look.
what-
Then if you're Fire Showman.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, weird.
Command and
And
Conquer
there's, a
with Kate.
Rob- and there's a Robin in the corner as well.
Oh, hey, look, Kibbs.
There he is.
Hey, and Kibbs is looking up the Mandalorian stuff because you can see in the bottom left.
No. I do like the Mandalorian main theme though. Opening, I think that's quite nice. Very, very Western. I like it.
Kids didn't even watch his own video, says Blake.
Yeah.
I might have forgotten.
Neither. If Kibbs won't watch it, why should I?
I can't listen to my own voice though.
That's not my problem. Now, is it?
And start screaming.
I like how kids didn't even try to, like, I don't know, mute the video and then have it watch the time for them.
Oh my god. I'm just gonna click on this real quick. Okay, I'm just gonna click on it. Okay, I just want you to look at this for 5 seconds.
Slag it. I hate this planet. I'm freezing my rocks off here.
They look like. Hold up. What year was this?
I have no idea.
Because it kind of looked like T50s or something.
T51.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't even remember this show. I just remember being like a kid and thinking it was cool. Because it was like a war.
Looks really dumb.
Then you would already be dead. I froze your people with my freezing weapons. And my cool trademarkable toy walkers. By the way, this was made to sell toys.
Oh, no shit.
Most shit around this time was made to sell toys.
You have gambled and lost. You have raided our world for the final time.
No more raiding our planet.
You must pay the
Shadow Raiders.
All right, well that was a trip. I'm having like fucking PTSD right now. Like, oh, like flashbacks of my childhood. Be like,
Because it's going through convulsions.
oh god, just fucking move this off the screen. That's gonna. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't know.
Alright. Sorry, chat. Shadow Raiders.
Is it no
Watch
go?
along when.
Oh god, no. Oh god, no. The worst part is the
I'd rather
entire
that or My
series is
Little
on
Pony.
YouTube. Like the entire series, all 40 episodes. How does that make you feel, chat? Like, well, you
I like the face in Regulan's post in the chat.
Oh my god,
That
chat bros.
face.
Wow, we're actually gonna be on time, chat. Holy shit, chat fucks. I mean, chat fish. Fuck, I meant to say fish.
Are you
I meant
sure?
to say fish. Like, my fucking few weeks. My fucking-
Freudian slip.
Listen, chatfish. We are now going to raid into the next stream, which we're going to be continuing our glorious pen and paper campaign. Then, after we complete our pen and paper campaign tonight, we will be doing a community event. Yes, tomorrow or today is the ghost event. So if you want to get ready to get graped by me, I'm really good at the game and better than the rest of you. Feel free, okay? You can eat shit. All right, that's what you're gonna do because I am better. Me
You
better.
heard that, chat. He's better than you at the game.
Yes.
So if he dies to you, he has to suffer a penalty.
For those that
For
don't
being
want to
worse.
follow us over there, I'm going to drop a link to another video that will be placed in here. So if you guys can go check it out, you can if you want. You can if you want. All right, I'll let you do it. I'll let you do it because you're my little chatfishies. Oh, God, don't want to hear my voice. Don't want to hear my voice. Mute it quick. There we go. There we go.
What could it be, chat?
You can go check out Battle Damage Audio, where our new channel is, where we're going to be posting lore videos on a trying to do weekly basis. And there is a link to the video I posted here, but that is just, check it out if you want to give it a shot. If you don't, no big deals. We'll be raiding into the next stream, chat. We'll see you over there. Thank you for your generous donations, and we'll see you in the next stream, chat. Goodbye.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye now.